You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. Houston, Texas, the site this Saturday afternoon for college football in the American. The Cougars and the Bulls collide for just the 7th ever meeting. Last 4 contests since joining the American have all gone the way of the red and white. Bulls coming to town looking for their first victory in FBS. Of course, their first victory of the Jeff Scott era in the American Athletic Conference. They take on a hungry Cougars side that's looking to bounce back from a couple of losses against both UCF and Cincinnati. Welcome into the broadcast booth, everybody. Lincoln Rose, along with the man who launched his NFL career from right here in Space City, Stanford route. Stanford, Houston trying to bounce back from a tough schedule against UCF and nationally ranked Cincinnati, but they're going to do so against a USF team that arguably is playing its best football all of a sudden here to start November.
Absolutely. Jordan McLeod is now back into the fold. Noah Johnson not able to be in the starting lineup, and he's looking to go ahead and pick up where they left off last week with the offensive output in a hard-fought loss to the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, that's your breaking news. Noah Johnson does not travel to Houston after taking every snap in the near-miss matchup against Memphis last weekend, almost picking up that victory, falling by a point on the final drive. So your day one starter, Jordan McLeod, is back in as QB1. They are hoping he can pick back up where Johnson left off last weekend. Of course, for the Houston Cougars, you know your quarterback in Clayton Tune, but he's still getting to know some of his receiving options ever since losing Speedy Stevenson 2 weekends ago.
Lincoln, this is the year 2020. It is the year of opportunity. Keith Corbin, Nathaniel Dell, a.k.a. Tank, Trayvon Bradley, and Keandre Street are all poised to fill the absence that is left by Marquez Stevenson.
He lost Stevenson on that first drive against UCF, struggled with that shock to get in a rhythm with these three guys, but now 2 weeks to build some chemistry.
Absolutely. In our production meeting this week, Dana Holgerson talked about he liked how Clayton Tune was able to connect with his receivers. Obviously, it was not much of an offensive output with only 10 points, but he really liked the way that they were able to mesh together in a short time.
It is homecoming in H-Town. Opening kick coming up next. Cougars are back home looking to get back on the winning track after suffering those back-to-back losses against UCF, as well as that trip up to Cincinnati, Ohio. Standing in their way, Jeff Scott's Bulls of USF. Of course, this is year one of Jeff Scott's head coaching career after a very successful tenure as an assistant, including offensive coordinator for a certain Clemson college football program in South Carolina.
Yes, definitely coming over from Clemson, South Carolina, something he wants to go ahead and implement with his offense within the USF Bulls. And it's going to be interesting to see how everything transpires from now going forward for his new team.
Dana Holgerson has been on the opposite sideline from Jeff Scott at least once. That was back in 2012 at the Orange Bowl when his West Virginia Mountaineers, in his first year as the head coach in that then Big East program, toppled Clemson. Jeff Scott was a young wide receivers coach at the time. Of course, we are in year 2 of the Holgerson rebuilding process here in Houston. Obviously, he has all the facilities to recruit with. He has one of the largest cities and the richest talent pools in his backyard of high school football, and slowly but surely starting to mold this program the way he wants it. South Florida did win the toss, defer to the second half, so it will be Clayton Tune bringing out the offense of the Cougars to get us started here on this afternoon.
Yeah, Holgerson talked about how he really was pleased with the way that Clayton Tune played last week from the poor performance that he had against the USF Knights a few weeks ago. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with him right away to go ahead and try to get him successful, get him comfortable early against this USF defense.
Each of the last 2 years, of course, Tune found his way stepping in for then quarterback De'Ara King. 2 games as a starter his first season last year, taking over the final 7 games this year. This is his team. He has been a vocal leader along the way. But they will start off on the ground, and this man has been a bull killer, and his opportunities to go up against them. Carr has a touchdown in each of his last 2 meetings against USF. He gets the opening snap in place of Kyle Porter today.
And right away, the Cougars go off tackle to Mo Bakar going through the lane, and it appeared that USF was not well put together. They're starting off this game in a forefront, so you wonder maybe if there's a little bit of a miscommunication because that's not the usual defense that Glenn Spencer employs.
Of course, his coach, the running back coach, is Markel Blackwell, the former Hall of Famer at South Florida quarterback back in the day. We'll have more on that a little bit later on. This snap from Bull territory, it is Tune who will keep it. Clayton Tune with the first down, then some. Tune will be dragged down at the 26-yard line as Houston just 2 snaps into this affair, already flirting with points on the board.
Started with the read option. He goes and puts it in the belly of Mobakar. No, I'm going to go ahead and pull it back. And you can see Grant was not able to beat him to the edge. Clayton Tune off and running. Cougars are on the move.
23 yards on the quarterback keeper. Tune now threads one in, finds Bryson Smith, who finds pay dirt. Touchdown Cougars, 28-yard touchdown connection from Tune to Smith.
Wow, that was quick. That was 3 plays and very decisive. Just a slant pattern with Clayton Tune to a Bryson Smith. You can see right here, Mike Hampton was not able to go and get inside leverage, beat him to the punch. A strong catch by Bryson Smith and splits the safeties right up the middle, down the gut. And you can see these Houston Cougars, they are off and moving right away.
Ball was on the money, so is the extra point. Less than a minute into this one. Cougars feeling it early. Tune to Smith. 7 points on the board. Good talent over the years out of Tyler, Texas, home of Earl Campbell, and of course home of Bryson Smith, who's on the receiving end of that 28-yard touchdown strike. Lincoln Rose, Stanford round, and Stanford, ideal start for Houston. We didn't even get to introduce you to a fairly thin South Florida Bulls defense. We'll hope to introduce their offense here in just a moment. They'll set up on the 25-yard line to get things started. So again, Noah Johnson last week against Memphis led the way almost to Jeff Scott's first head coaching victory in conference play. Their only victory so far this year, their opener against FCS, the Citadel. But of course, he found out Johnson was among the players not available to travel this week. They are missing 13 players. They only had about 16 available last week on the defensive side of the football in total to rotate against Memphis in that near victory. But here is Jordan McLeod, at least a veteran that they trust, stepping back into his starting role. He was pushed by a couple of transfers this year, both Johnson as well as Cade Fortin, but still won the role for that opener. And he is 1 for 1 to start the day.
Good way to start off. They want to go ahead and get McLeod back in the fold and get him comfortable early. What a better way to start off with the RPO, get the linebackers to go ahead and overcommit, slant across the middle to Bryce Miller. First down.
Miller, the transfer out of the NAIA, one of the few starting receivers you'll find in FBS college football, let alone anywhere in Division I from the NAIA. But he's from St. Pete, able to make his way onto this South Florida roster and has found himself kind of a role like Adam Humphries used to play over at Clemson for former coach at Clemson, Jeff Scott. So second and a short 8. Steps up, nothing doing just yet. Now has his man once again, second time already to Bryce Miller into Cougar territory.
Great job by Jordan McLeod surveying the field, stepping up in the pocket, able to sidestep the pass rush. And as you can see right here, able to step up into the pocket, feeling the rush, but not letting it affect him, looking downfield, and is able to find Bryce Miller over the middle for the deep end for the first down.
That O-line kept McLeod upright long enough that the coverage just could not hold against Miller underneath. This time around, simply will have to dump the ball off for the incomplete pass. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Houston, D.C., Joe Codden said in our production meeting earlier this week that it's all about points, not yards. He's not worried about giving up the yards. He just wants to make sure that he does not give up a multitude of points. So look for them to start to tighten up the defense now that USF has entered Houston territory.
Bulls again are without Johnny Ford and Darian Felix, a couple of their top running backs. That's why you're seeing Brian Battie, a freshman out of Sarasota, emerging as your starter. We may even see a converted defensive back from earlier this year, Leonard Parker, another freshman in the backfield.
For USF to be successful, the offensive line is going to have to get penetration on this Houston front seven. And as you can see right there, not able to get any penetration, get any movement. Battie just a 1-yard gain. Now this brings up a 3rd and 9, and this is more advantageous for the Houston Cougars defense because look for Codden to go ahead and try to confuse McLeod on this, maybe a zone blitz, some sort of a pressure.
At the moment, this would be about a 50-yard field goal try for Spencer Schrader, who's your special teams player of the week in the American after nailing all 4 of his efforts beyond 40 yards in against Memphis. But USF's going to have to call its first timeout, facing 3rd and 9.
First timeout of the half.
And the play clock winding down.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Chance, though, to introduce Charles LaMartina, our referee, in case his family is tuning in. We'll see how often we hear from Charles today. No yellow handkerchiefs have been dropped just yet by his crew, but able to update us on the 30-second timeout there. So, I mean, at this point, we've talked to so many coaches, and it's often the same talking points. They know they're not going to have everybody they would like to have available. It's not necessarily that student-athlete's fault that they're not available. Some of these position groups are just so thin. But Jordan McLeod, you are QB1 today. Let's make the most of it.
Absolutely, and the thing is, if you're Jeff Scott or if you're Charlie Weiss Jr., you want to get him off and going early. You want to get him comfortable. Short passes, maybe something where he has a run-pass option, things like that. You want to get him settled in very quickly.
3rd and 9 for South Florida on this opening drive. And McLeod feels the pressure, the embrace from David Anini, and it is 4th down.
This time around,
Houston on the field is an incomplete pass.
This time around, Houston does not come with pressure. They just have a front four rush the passer, and you can see David Anini able to go and get that quarterback hurry on Jordan McLeod. Was not able to get the sack, but nonetheless, they're able to get off the field. Forces just him to throw the ball away so they can live to fight another down. Great job, Houston.
Rather than try a 50-yarder, they will trust their 30-year-old punter from down under to boot this football away. And just a bit long, they'll bring it out to the 20. Well, a reminder coming up later, it's number 13, Wisconsin and Michigan at the Big House in Ann Arbor. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 for those of you on Pacific time. It'll be on ABC and the ESPN app. Well, 15 games at last count were wiped off the college football slate this weekend, but we still got plenty of good ones coming your way on ABC, ESPN, and here on ESPN2. Of course, another American contest later on tonight in Tulsa between those Mustangs and the Golden Hurricane. Clayton Tune just needed 3 plays to march his Cougars downfield 75 yards for that touchdown drive. Now gets the football back with that 7-point lead still intact. Tune calls his own number once again. This will be slightly shorter than his first jaunt. About a 5-yard gain for the junior.
Once again, Houston attacking USF on the edges. They're going to have to make sure that they find some way to watch out for this RPO, this read option, because if they do not find a way to stop it, that's the USF Bulls defense, Houston is going to gash them all day long.
Still on schedule here after the 5-yard gain on first down. And sitting down right where he needed to be for the first down is Christian Trahan, the junior tight end, a nice 6'3" target that they think they're going to be working in more and more in this offense.
OC Shannon Dawson in our production meeting said that look out for number 85, Trahan. So once again, they come out to him bright and early.
Carr with the carry is lit up. Again, Carr is stepping in for Kyle Porter, their transfer from Texas.
USF.
Illegal substitution, 12 men on defense. 5-yard penalty, replay. First down.
That's going to negate the nice play from Damaris Bellamy. With 1 man too many on defense, the Cougars will take the penalty and get the down back. So again, Kyle Porter, we are not certain whether we will see him out there on the field today. In his place, it's Carr diving for another first down up to the 45.
One thing that Glenn Spencer, the defensive coordinator for the USF Bulls, mentioned how it's been so difficult because they barely had any spring practice, just a few ones of shorts and T-shirts. That may seem why they're not put together well up front, and it seems like they're having miscues.
Running back Carr was a beneficiary last year of the NCAA's rule that you could play 4 games and still redshirt. We have an infraction before the snap as this play is blown dead for the false start.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
Well, the Cougar coaching staff had a lot of praise for Matt Baines overall despite that whistle. The sophomore really pleased with his progress. He's homegrown from right here in Houston, went to St. Thomas High School. He has been up for any challenge they have thrown at him today out there on that starting O-line.
Absolutely. Same high school I coach at, Lincoln. St. Thomas Eagles.
And Lincoln Rose Stanford route, great to have you with us. Limited capacity today, about 10,000 here in Houston for this one. Tune, all the time in the world, finally will dump one down. And that'll get it back to the original line of scrimmage after a 5-yard penalty a moment ago, about a 6-yard gain as he finds Keith Corbin.
Clayton Tune dropping back to pass, surveying the field, not panicking, just finds Corbin on the little under route, just enough for a 5-yard gain, gets it back to the original line of scrimmage, now a 2nd and 9. And this is still bodes well for this USF defense because now they have an opportunity to go ahead and maybe confuse Tune a little bit, pressure him from up the middle. That's something he does not like, and then maybe they can go ahead and get off this field.
Carr. Nice job stepping up to fill the void. And that is Brian Norris, who, again, with a thinned-out linebacker crew, is among the men who will respond to Mike here today.
One of the reasons why USF started to employ a 4-man front was just for that. Now they're able to force a 3rd and long for Tune and the Cougars.
Bulls late to get their 11th man on, finally made adjustments. Looking for a stop here on 3rd and 8. Tune steps up, still behind the line of scrimmage. And what a nice job throwing it where only his man Keith Corbin could get to it, but they will say Corbin cannot get down in bounds.
Great job by the USF defense. You can see the pass rushers, they're staying in their lanes, forcing Tune out of the pocket. Daquan Evans does a great job. He's not able to affect the pass, but you know what? He's able to go ahead and push him out of bounds, making it an incomplete pass.
Well, they're going to see this. Look at his elbow.
Play of an incomplete pass at the sideline is under further review.
Yeah, that not only is a catch here in college football, that would be a catch on Sundays. He got the elbow, the forearm, the knee. Keith Corbin, a senior now, it was his sophomore year. He was one of De'Aaron King's favorite targets with those 10 touchdowns. Last year had a couple more trips into the end zone. We anticipate this will be 1st and 10 coming up for the Cougars after they take a look at what we were able to show you at home.
Taking another look at this play. And just right there, Corbin is able to get a wrist, which is also an elbow, and a knee. Yes, Lincoln. It looks like that one's going to go ahead and be good for the Houston Cougars.
Neither you nor I have John Madden's personal cell phone number to get his full explanation of what body part is worth what, but we are pretty much up to date on that rule here in the college game.
Great awareness by Corbin, making sure that he's able to get not only an elbow and a knee down. For all you young receivers out there, it's not always about just running routes, catching passes, things like that. You have to be crafty enough when you're on the sideline. DBs are taught to push you out of bounds while you're in midair. You have to be able to get something down, whether it's an elbow, a knee, things like that, to go ahead and still have that be a complete pass.
We will get the confirmation of a catch here.
After further review, the receiver gained control of the ball and got his left hand down in bounds. This is a completed pass. It is 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line. The clock will start on my ready.
Slightly partial crowd approves of the 16-yard gain for the 1st down for Dana Holgerson-Smith. So again, 2nd drive today for Houston. Had a 3-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to begin this ball game after the Bulls deferred to the 2nd half. Tune will toss it to Dell. Nathaniel Dell, the 5'10", 155-pounder soaking wet with the nickname Tank.
Yeah, they call him Tank because that's exactly how he runs. He runs behind his pads. Just on that play, they were trying to get him on the edges. Good job by the USF defense to go ahead and limit that gain to just 2 yards.
He comes from one of the last chance used these days, Independence Community College out of Kansas. Here is Carr. Oh, nice patience there on the edge, and he'll be a couple yards shy of the 1st down. 3rd and very manageable coming up inside the 30-yard line of the Bulls.
Dwayne Boyle's doing a pretty good job of scraping, getting all the way from the right to the left side to go ahead and try to get this stop. It now brings up a 3rd down for the Houston Cougars.
They go right back to Mulbacar, and the Bulls were ready. Oh, it'll be decision time here for Houston. They lose a yard, meaning it'll be 4th and 3 for this offense, should they opt to go for it.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going for it. Holgerson, he's got the eye of the tiger right now.
We're just going to make one change. That's Cole McGowan coming on. Now a couple other personnel changes. Chandler Smith will join him as a running back. Obviously, if you're USF, you have to avoid just gift wrapping this one, jumping off sides.
Looks like Glenn Spencer's going all man on this 4th down for the defense.
Empty backfield with Clayton Tune. Cougars need the 27-yard line. Toon wants more than that. He is eyeing Dell. And the Cougars will give this football back over to USF, unable to convert on 4th down.
Really good coverage by KJ Sales on a Nathaniel Dell, staying in the hip pocket, forcing the overthrow by Clayton Toon. All you young corners out there, you got to stay in that hip pocket, and that's just exactly what KJ Sales was able to do.
Turnover on downs. Bulls with their second drive when you rejoin us.
ESPN College Football is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Together tastes better.
Homecoming here in Houston for the Cougars, and of course the limited crowd though to celebrate. Safely spaced out here at TD-ECU Stadium. Its 7th year as your home for the Houston Cougars. This is the 4th trip that South Florida has made to play the Cougars over the years here in Houston. They've played at 3 different venues along the way. The old Robertson Stadium that's sat right here. More recently, NRG Stadium, the home of the Houston Texans. As here is Jordan McLeod, one of 4 different quarterbacks who have basically gotten auditions on game days throughout this year to be Jeff Scott's guy.
Yeah, it's pretty much been a revolving door for many parts of this season, but Jordan McLeod, very good job on the read option, able to get off the tackle. Houston did not line up to that properly. Now 2nd and 2.
Sophomore is out of Tampa, talking about Jordan McLeod from Plant High School. That ball to Miller, and Miller knows he's going to take some hits this year as that slot receiver takes the lick. He'll lose his helmet, have to come off, but he gets the job done with the 1st down.
McLeod, a little bit of an errant throw on this. Bryce Miller doing a good job of being able to come back and catch the ball. Tybo Mwaniki was able to go ahead and make the tackle. If McLeod puts that ball more where he can be in a catch-and-run situation, Bryce Miller might have been able to catch that and turn up and get more yardage.
Yeah, Mwaniki trying to jar that ball loose. The transfer from Oklahoma State. It'll be about a 4.5-yard gain on 1st down to Petit. So one of the problems with the quarterbacks, nobody's been able to win that job because they haven't, quote, valued the football. Too many fumbles, too many turnovers, but they're up against a Houston defense that has struggled to turn over opposing offenses, I should say. Just 3 turnovers this year. One of them was last week, just a late Hail Mary that they picked off in the end zone. So they have struggled to help out their offense with field position, and they're struggling to get the Bulls off the field here.
McLeod showing some of that Houdini ability, eluding the pass rush from the Houston Cougars, able to still go and get what appears to be somewhat of a positive gain. It's now 3rd and a manageable 6 yards. So much better than if he would have taken the sack, and now it's 3rd and 15.
They need the Cougar 48-yard line. Bulls 0 for 1 today so far on 3rd down.
Look for Codden to go ahead and probably do some sort of pressure to go ahead and speed up the internal clock of McLeod.
Dollison to the top of your screen. McLeod will look back and just a tad tall for Mitchell Brinkman. Bulls will have no choice but to trot out their punter, Trent Schneider, once again.
The Cougars brought pressure on this from the outside. You see a Grant Stewart, and somehow, someway, Mitchell Brinkman is left wide open on the under route across the middle of the field, and McLeod just misses him. It's plays like that that Jeff Scott and Charlie Weiss talk about. You have to be able to connect on those plays because those build momentum for the team, and now they got a punt.
I mentioned Schneider, 30 years old, spent 8 years in construction and plumbing back home in Australia before beginning his college punting duties. He's actually older than some of the members of this USF coaching staff, which is the youngest in the nation. Another touchback's your result. Cougars will bring it out to the 20. Their 3rd drive, a touchdown lead still intact here at home.
Kevin Connors here. This studio update brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. USC could well run the table in the Pac-12. They're off to a good start today. Marquise Stepp, the short touchdown run. Arizona making its season debut after their game was wiped out due to COVID last week. 7-7 game in the first quarter. Meantime, seconds ago, Boston College just completed a pass in the end zone for a touchdown. They've taken a 6-3 lead on Notre Dame off the big win over Clemson a week ago. Lincoln, you can see that game over on ABC.
you very much. Lincoln Road Stanford route here in Houston. Cougars scored a touchdown on their opening drive. It was 3 plays for 75 yards. A lot of explosive plays led by Clayton Tune, your quarterback for the Cougars. His first full year as QB1 for the Cougars after the transfer of De'Ara King at the end of last year. Mo Bakar, again, your starting running back today. It'll be Tune who keeps it and has the first down carry, about a 16-yard gain for Tune. And getting that first down allows you to speed things up and start to build some tempo on offense, Stanford.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of teams that run the spread offense, the up-tempo, they always say that you got to get that very first down, because then that now starts to put the defense back on their heels, and you're able to go ahead and give that run-pass key, whichever one you want to may do for the remainder of that drive. But, yes, you got to get the first down first.
Again, Mo Bakar is starting for Kyle Porter, and now they'll give it to Chandler Smith, the senior. Smith around the edge. Smith down the sideline into Bulls territory, down to the 37-yard line.
The Houston offensive line doing a great job of sealing on the left side. Chandler Smith just does the rest, puts on the burners, and USF once again does not seem like they are put together well up front, because Houston is able to attack the edges, whether it is Mo Bakar up the middle, you got Chandler Smith on the edges, and now Clayton Tune as well. USF has to find a way to go ahead and stop this Houston run game.
26 yards later, Bellamy able to force him out of bounds. End around here to Smith, already one trip into the end zone today, and it's going to take the entire team photo for this Bulls defense to put a halt to his run, but not before he moves the sticks again with another first down.
They go on a counter to Chandler Smith down the left sideline. Now guess what? They go to Bryson Smith on a reverse down the right side. You can tell that this Houston defense, this Houston offense now just wants to use their playmakers, put them out in space, and dare the USF Bulls defense to go ahead and tackle them.
Flirting with the red zone. Smith. About a 2-yard gain for Chandler Smith, the senior running back. And they're without one of their team leaders, Kyle Porter, who grew up right here in the Houston area, went to Katy High School, one of the powerhouses in this state. They got a little banged up in their last outing with Cincinnati, a team that cruised to that victory last night against East Carolina to remain perfect on the season, and still in the hunt for that college playoff berth, perhaps. Tune. Bryson Smith able to get out of one ankle tackle, but that's enough to slow him down before Andrew Mims, again, who steps up as your starting Mike linebacker today, finishes off the play.
Lincoln, oftentimes when offenses have a successful play, they come back to it, and you can see the Cougars did just that again, going to Bryson Smith again on the reverse, but a great job this time by the USF defense. You can see Mims doing a great job making the tackle. Now brings up a 3rd and 13, a chance for USF to go ahead and get off this field with giving up only just a field goal.
He's replacing their leading tackler, Antonio Greer, who is among the 13 players the Bulls are without today. Tune, big gap up the middle, and has a personal escort down the field. Clayton Tune untouched. 26 yards later, touchdown, H-Town. Social distancing executed to perfection.
Houston is off and running well right now. They're up 13-0. You can see Clayton Tune. They get the pass rush. They're trying to blitz it from up the middle. Rashawn Yates not able to go ahead and bring him down. Tune does the rest with his legs. Houston is off and running, now up 13-0. And now you can make that 14-0. This is looking like the Houston Cougars well able to bounce back from their losses to UCF and to Cincinnati.
So after a turnover on downs on their last drive in Bulls territory, this one ends back in the end zone, 6 plays, 80 yards.
You can see right here that USF, they are trying to blitz Houston from up the middle. Clayton Tune, now once he sees this, he just makes a sidestep. Rashawn Yates not able to bring him down, and then he just simply does the rest. Has his offensive lineman out being his lead blocker. Clayton Tune showing that, you know what, he's a dual threat quarterback. Houston Cougars, great way drawing that up for Dana Holgorsen, but you can clearly see the USF defense not well put together, trying to run that front 4 instead of the usual front 3 down linemen, and something has got to change up front for USF. Otherwise, Houston is going to run away with this victory.
That was Max Baines again, the sophomore, getting the start today. Baxa will have the kick. How often do we see an entourage of teammates, but nobody ever actually blocks anybody, and you get caught from behind? Dollison. Now Marion Dollison will be wrapped up at the 21. Gives us a chance to check back in with Kevin Connors in the studio.
Yeah, Lincoln, we told you about it just while we were doing the last update. BC getting on the board. Phil Jurkovic to Zay Flowers in the back of the end zone. Notre Dame just fumbled the football, so the Eagles a 7-3 lead. Looking for more on ABC.
Kevin, thank you very much. Right now, after that kickoff return, a Cougar still down. Have not identified the player just yet. You know, we lead off all of our chats with coaches as you see where Houston stands. Over the past 5 years, they and Texas A&M have been taking turns throughout the season being the winningest program in the state of Texas during this half decade. Right now tied with the Horned Frogs at 43 victories. Have had some great memories, some great individual talent who's now playing on Sundays, of course, these days, that they get to tune in and cheer on. Several alumni able to make their way back to campus. A little bit different homecoming experience this year. Yeah, spot Kelvin Sampson over there in the crowd. Of course, his Cougars were picked preseason to win the men's basketball season. We're going to step aside and get you caught up on the injured player when you rejoin us. Moments ago, Jacob Dowlong promising able to help himself onto the card. Again, he's another one of these Houston natives getting to play college ball in his backyard on special teams with the Cougars this year out of Spring, Texas. Here's Jordan McLeod, plenty of room to roam, and finally the baseball slide for the first down after a 12-yard gain.
Great play by Jordan McLeod. You could see Houston was playing a lot of man coverage. Wasn't too many open guys down the field. So you know what? I'm going to tuck it. I'm going to run it, get the first down, and go ahead and continue the progress on this drive.
And McLeod will be caught a couple yards downfield. This year, play call on first down a moment ago.
McLeod surveying the field, sees that it's man coverage, so you know what, I got to go ahead and get out of there. Picks up the first down, obviously now brings up the other first down, and the Houston Cougars were able to get a sack with, a short tackle for Jermichael Neal. Now brings up 2nd and 9.
McLeod designed run. Steps through tackles, will fall forward for about 1.5 yards. So 3rd and long coming up for the Bulls, who have yet to put points on the board here in this first quarter that's getting closer and closer to coming to a close. The Bulls played a great game against Memphis last weekend, but really all of their touchdowns were in the second quarter. They were settling for field goals all of the other frames. It would cost them late, as finally Jeff Scott admits our guys were just tired, in part because, again, they only had so many healthy bodies they could play. McLeod down the middle, broken up, almost a tip drill. It'll be incomplete, 4th down.
Jordan McLeod has got to get this ball down a little bit more. That's why it was tipped right there. And you can see you've got to put the ball more in the breadbasket. It was just a little bit too high for Mitchell Brinkman. And a great job by Deontay Anderson breaking up the pass. Almost got picked off. And thus, once again, USF has to punt the ball. Jordan McLeod has to make sure that he has better ball placement down the field, throwing to his receivers and tight ends.
Snapping to Schneider, a great story is Bryce Bernard, your deep snapper. He was on the student film crew to start this fall before they got so thin at deep snapper they had to rely on him, knowing that he had done it a few times in high school. Cougars looking for a big return. And will settle to start this next drive about the 22-yard line.
10-yard return.
This is again the return that time from Chandler Smith, who's seeing additional snaps today in the backfield.
USF needs a big play on defense, a fumble force, some sort of an interception, a big sack, something like that. They've got to get something to go ahead and try to drum up some momentum, because right now Houston has all of it, and you can feel it within the stadium.
Well, Toon called his own numbers a couple of times on that opening drive that led to a touchdown in just 3 plays. Already a nice start today for the junior.
Hold right to 46. Hold right to 46.
This has been an opportunistic South Florida defense this year. Despite some other struggles, they have been able to have a nose for the football in forcing turnovers. That includes a cornerback who we've already seen today. Factor in Daquan Evans, the cornerback out of Orlando, has an interception now each of the last 3 ball games, including a pick 6 against Memphis last week. Toon on 2nd and 10. Toon down the middle into double coverage, and flags will fly for pass interference as there is a hand in the back of the shoulder pads denying Nathaniel Dell a chance to go up and get that ball. Now this will just be a 15-yard penalty, not a spot foul like in the NFL.
Pass interference, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
You could see right here, you got a Mike Hampton who's right there in the hip pocket, and just at the last second, you got the free safety coming into the frame. It causes just a little bit of that, what you call contact, and that's what the referee is looking for, and that's why he threw the flag.
You can argue that is a smart play by the defender, as here you are, Cougars are still on their half of the field after just the 15-yard penalty. And a loss on first down, as Carr is immediately met by Blake Green, the nose tackle. That'll do it for the opening frame in Houston. Cougars firing on all cylinders early on, up 2 scores. Second and 12 coming up for the Cougars here to start off the second quarter. Again, Clayton Toon in his first full season as your starting quarterback for the Cougars this year. A touchdown toss and a touchdown run for Toon today. As give USF credit, they've had 3 tackles for loss already today, including a couple on this drive to slow down this Houston attack.
And this time they just try to throw the swing pass to Abubakar, getting him out in the flat, but a good job coming up. KJ Sales did not make the tackle, but he helped make the play, forcing him back inside for a short gain. Now it's 3rd and 10. USF got a chance to go ahead and do something here. Look for them to go ahead and try to confuse Clayton Toon a little bit with coverage.
Empty backfield for Toon. Down the middle, and just screams right through the fingertips of Keith Corbin, as this Bulls defense comes up with its second stop on the day.
USF came out in man on that play, not too much of a coverage or anything like that, just simple man coverage. Corbin was able to beat his corner wide open, and Toon just simply flat out misses him. That is something Toon has got to be able to hit that guy in stride, because if Corbin catches that ball, he might still be running, Lincoln.
If KJ Sales returns this punt from Lane Wilkins, he will be the first player to return a punt from Wilkins all year long. The 26-year-old freshman has been remarkable. He's one of our 2 Australian punters on display for these 2 teams today. Low snap, the left foot into this one. And it is a fair catch right on cue from KJ Sales. That is remarkable. We are here in November, but that is just how important to field position that Lane Wilkins has been. Well, it was during their bye week 2 weeks ago that the unofficial mayor of Tampa Bay, Tony Dungy, stepped onto campus a couple miles from his home and talked to Jeff Scott's team. Jeff Scott bumped into Coach Dungy at a youth soccer match that bye week when his daughter was out kicking the ball with her teammates. His wife spotted Coach Dungy across the pitch, and sure enough, Coach Dungy came over, gave the team a pep talk about character, talking about how his first year with the Buccaneers, they only had 1 victory midway through that NFL season, won almost every game after that after he started letting players hold each other accountable. That is much like how Jeff Scott wants this Bulls program to start accountability. They want to be champions even before contesting for victories.
And that's something that Jeff Scott said. He said champions are champions before they become champions, by the way that they prepare, by the way that they go about everything in their day-to-day life. That is something he wants to implement, that he realized and that he saw from Clemson firsthand, and bringing that over to the South Florida Bulls.
So again, his starting quarterback today, McLeod, on 2nd and 9. And there's that ball coming loose. McLeod just falls on it to live to see 3rd down.
Charlie Weiss talked about being efficient, and this right here is not being efficient. Jordan McLeod in the center obviously have a little bit of a miscue. He's able to go ahead and just jump on the ball and recover it, but now it brings up a 3rd and 15 in Lincoln. Not too many offensive coordinators actually have plays drawn up designed for 3rd and 15 because it limits your flexibility within the playbook.
So 3rd and 15. They'll look to pick it up on the ground. Kelly Joyner last week went out for a 75-yard pattern for a touchdown. This time gets the more traditional handoff just to get a little more yardage back for your punter. That is a quick 3 and out for South Florida.
Lincoln, USF defense starting to settle down. You saw they were able to force that punt from Clayton Toon's errant pass, and now they give the ball back to their offense, and they're unable to go ahead and move the ball, get any sort of penetration, any sort of success. That is something that complementary football, like Jeff Scott was talking about, you have to be successful as a football team.
This is Marcus Jones back to return. I believe I said Chandler Smith earlier, of course, the double numbers with 8, but this is very much Jones's game. Jones up across the 40, fights up to the 44-yard line. Jones with 4 special teams touchdowns in his career, changing field position for his Cougars. Already 2 touchdowns in their back pocket, looking for more.
Notre Dame has just tied it up with BC. Ian Book, so good last week in the win over Clemson, 10 yards to Ben Skoranek. 13 straight wins for Notre Dame, longest active in the FBS, 10-10 game over on ABC. Lincoln.
Kevin, thank you. I know a lot of college football fans are just glad that Notre Dame's going to have a chance at 8-0 after seeing all the fans and their enthusiasm surrounding them at the end of that victory over then #1 Clemson at the time. Glad Coach Kelly had numbers this weekend. Both these teams able to get the green light as well to play on this Saturday afternoon. Lincoln Rose Stanford route. Great to have you with us here in Houston. This is the best starting field position today for the Cougars, who otherwise have marched downfield for 75 and 80 yards for their touchdowns. Back to Toon. Toon again with a blocker in place. And Toon with the catch will take it down to the 35 of South Florida. Starting to have a little bit of fun here in the 3rd ward.
Oh, you can see Dana Holgerson and Shannon Dawson. Now they're just getting cute now. They go in there, they put Bryson Smith in the backfield. They hand the ball off to him. He runs, rolls left, and then throws the throwback to a Clayton Toon for a big gain now in the USF territory. Now they're just getting cute now.
Add 21 yards receiving to Clayton Toon's resume. Carr on 1st down. Carr with blocks in place, pops it to the outside. Mulba Carr eyeing the 1st down marker. And a nice 11-yard gain for, again, the man who's stepping in for Kyle Porter today.
And now the Cougars will go back to big boy ball. Mulba Carr running behind his pads. We all know that 6 foot, 215 pounds. And Mike Hampton, all he can do is just ride him out of bounds. And once again, Houston is already inside the USF 30.
Carr was a senior last year, but just played 4 games, able to redshirt. Looking for the end zone and just beyond the reach of Keith Corbin. Simply be 2nd and 10 coming up.
That's what you call a scissors concept by the Houston Cougars. You got a post pattern by the outside receiver. By the slot, you can see Corbin. He runs a 7 cut. Obviously, we don't see it on the film right now. Toon just got humbled by the USF defense. But all that was just simply an overthrow because Bentley Sanders was underneath on the 7 route by Corbin, and Toon just could not drop it in there before Corbin was able to hit the end zone.
Cougars, despite 2 touchdowns, have not taken a snap inside the red zone today. That may change here. He worked the joystick there for the spin, and it's a nice gain from Chandler Smith. This will open up the playbook.
Houston going back to its bread and butter, just a run play off tackle. Chandler Smith for a good gain. Now Christopher Townsend makes an open field tackle. Now brings up a 3rd and 2. USF still a chance to go ahead and stay within this game, but they got to get a stop.
Smith, you're lone back with Toon. On 3rd and 2, Clayton Toon has the 1st down and will wisely get down. Cougars will be able to pick up at least 1 more 1st down before facing an end goal situation.
Clayton Tune, the early MVP of this game. He's obviously down, dropping back, trying to find somebody, but he cannot find anybody open. DeMars Bellamy able to go ahead and almost get there, but Tune, great job sidestepping him. Now a first down, moving the chains for the Houston Cougars with a chance now to go ahead and punch it in and possibly go up 21-0.
And they can pick up another first down inside the 3. Tune will follow Smith. Clayton Tune eyeing the end zone for the second time today. Touchdown Cougars.
Clayton Tune once again doing it with his legs for another rushing touchdown. Now you got 3 scores up for the Houston Cougars, and they are reeling right now. You can see, once again, they go the read option again, but look at Chandler Smith with the great block, and Tune does the rest once again with his legs, running into the end zone pretty much untouched until he gets to the goal line. Houston Cougars up 20-0.
He was a triple threat on that drive. Threw the football, caught the football that time, carried the football in for another trip to pay dirt.
That's what you call all-purpose.
Five drives for Houston today. 3 have culminated with trips into the end zone. Their defense pitching a shutout along the way. Lincoln Rose, Stanford route with you on this Saturday afternoon as the Cougars trying to bounce back from 2 straight losses. Of course, South Florida much improved from the start of this season, but still looking for that first victory in conference play.
Yeah, obviously they had a pretty good game last week against the Memphis Tigers, and the offensive output was pretty good, like you just talked about, Lincoln. Most of their touchdowns were in the second quarter. In games like that, you can use to springboard into victories down the line, but you've got to go ahead and get some sort of offensive continuity right now within this USF defense. And Jordan McCobb being the quarterback, he's got to go ahead and put his ball down, better ball security and ball placement.
Kyle Ramsey has been handling the extra points. Again, Bubba Baxa is your kickoff specialist, and you see one. Well, I don't know that Dana Holgerson taught Clayton Tune how to catch the football or carry for a couple of scores, but this is his track record throughout his career in Lubbock, Houston, over there in Morgantown, in the Big East and in the Big 12. And he's starting to see those results with Clayton Tune.
Absolutely. It's all about the explosion of the spread offense, something that you have seen pretty much ever since the early 2000s, and now it is matriculating its way even into the NFL. And whenever you have that, you're going to have these explosive, high-octane offenses. And with a guy like Dana Holgerson, who's pretty much an offensive genius, it is something that he is going to have everywhere he goes.
And those are quarterbacks in their first 2 years under Dana Holgerson. Got half a year last year with Tune. Miller's going to be maybe a yard shy of the first down with his 3rd catch on the day. See Clayton Tune, they went up to the backyard of SMU and stole him from the greater Dallas area. Went to Hebron High School, the former Hawk from Carrollton, Texas. On 2nd and 1, and able to somehow fall forward despite being wrapped up by Grant Stewart, your leading tackler for the Cougars this year. That will move the sticks for USF.
And this is a nice start to this drive. You can see on the very first play, Jordan McCloud hits Bryce Miller, the slant over the middle. Nice ball placement, puts it right there in his chest so nobody for the Cougars defense can get to it.
Toss to his left to Battie. And Brian Battie able to stay upright, crosses midfield, and Brian Battie will be knocked out of bounds at the 40 in Cougars territory. He's at best your 3rd string running back. But again, past 2 weeks, your starter in this backfield out of necessity.
Battie getting on the edge is doing exactly what he does best, and the Cougar defense not able to keep up with him.
He was able to shine last week, this time just trying to pick his way through some red shirts, and he'll make it a 2-yard gain.
And now for the USF Bulls, for their offense, it is imperative that they get something positive on the scoreboard from this drive. You've had some positive plays. You had a good pass by Jordan McCloud to Bryce Miller. You got Battie down the left sideline for a big play. You now have a 2nd and 8. You still are very much within this game. I know it's early second quarter and it's a 21-point game. You still are able, but you got to go ahead and get something offensively productive on the scoreboard.
Bulls need to get to the 30 to keep this drive moving. And McCloud will just wisely throw it at the feet of Omarion Dollison as they will confirm that there was a receiver in the area, no intentional grounding.
USF was able to snuff out this screenplay by the USF Bulls, getting good pressure. McLeod just wisely threw the ball to the ground, lived to fight another down. It's now 3rd and 8. So you know what? Not all is lost. USF, you still got a chance. It's 3rd and 8. Now look for Joe Collins' defense for the Houston Cougars to go ahead and try to get some pressure on McLeod to speed up his internal clock.
Houston is 4 for 4 today, shutting down South Florida on 3rd downs. And an uphill battle here, 3rd and 8, facing the Bulls. McLeod stands in the pocket, and it's all right. The Cougars don't get the pick. Presumably they can force the Bulls perhaps to kick this one back, although Bulls might be willing to go for it based on where we are on the field.
Houston bought some pressure from Marcus Jones playing the nickelback position off the left side, and that sped up Jordan McLeod's clock, and he just overthrows right there. That is something he's got to make sure that he can put that ball where it needs to be, because that's a 1st down if he gets that. But you know what? They got another chance. They're going for it on 4th down, Lincoln.
4th and 8 after not picking up anything on 3rd down. McLeod under pressure. Cougars will get the stop, get the ball back at midfield. Coming up for the sack, it's Jordan Moore.
Wow. We can see that time once again. Joe Collins wanted to speed up Jordan McLeod's clock, so he sends Jordan Moore in straight up the middle, coming in straight up the middle. Did not see him right away, and big play for the Cougars defense.
17th sack for this Cougars defense already here in 2020. Dana Holgerson's defense gets the stop. You take a look at how their first 5 drives culminated Stanford. Their longest sustained drive actually did not result in points.
And that's mainly because USF actually was sound on that defensive drive, actually going ahead and forcing the long, lengthy drive. But you can see 50 yards, and it winds up in downs. Obviously, I got to get a little bit better with my drawing, guys. I'll be better.
Last drive started on their own 44. It's even better here from their 46-yard line. And a 2-yard gain on 1st down for the Cougars. 8.5 to go here in the opening half.
And this right here, Lincoln, is where, as a defensive player, it gets very difficult because you're down 21-0. So now you got to continue to fight, continue to stop.
Timeout for injured player.
And that is a guy they don't want to lose in Mo Bakar, again, who was getting the start today in place of a banged-up Kyle Porter, who's in street clothes. Well, again, a reminder coming up a little bit later on. It is number 13, Wisconsin and Michigan at the Big House in Ann Arbor. That's a 7:30 Eastern start, 4:30 Pacific on ABC and available on the ESPN app. Good to have the Big Ten back in the fold as well. Pac-12 slowly ramping up, although a couple of games finding some obstacles. And about 15 games postponed or canceled that were slated for today. 2 weeks ago, we were at about 95% green light. Yes. Last week, about 85%. This week, about 75% of the games able to take place. And you hope the trend does not continue. Here's a look at Cougars offense and their return home.
Great throw to Bryson Smith. And now here he is playing receiver. Big play.
So perhaps Clayton Toon is the answer of stepping in and filling the shoes of Speedy Stevenson. Right on cue. Perhaps at least we have a new guy with the nickname Speedy.
I guess Clayton Toon is just simply going to be the leading rusher for the Houston Cougars today, because even though this is a pass play, I swear that there's some sort of a run implement added into it.
Injured player.
Forget breakaway speed. How about valuing the speed that keeps you from getting hit at the last second and allows you to get out of bounds standing upright?
That is something that it is invaluable for a quarterback, being able to always have the knack of avoiding the big hit, because we all know quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, they tell all their guys, even my guys, you got a Josh Hooten, you got a Matt Hudson, they always tell the young guys, if you are running the ball as a quarterback, get down. I do not want you taking big hits. So I know Dana Holgerson and Shannon Dawson is telling Clayton Toon the same thing.
We do have an official timeout right now. One of the defensive players for South Florida currently being tended to. And it's the big guy up front, Blake Green, your nose tackle, who walked on a couple years ago. Hopefully he can walk off with minimal help, but right now, that's another body that they are down.
Yeah, that's a big blow to this USF defense. One of the starters, the nose tackle. Going to be interesting to see exactly what USF does to go ahead and try to fill that void.
Again, they were already without 13 players arriving in Houston for South Florida, including their starting quarterback, top 2 running backs. Cougars have had a little bit better luck, but Cougars in their own right are missing a dozen players who made the Cincinnati trip. That has not been reflected on the scoreboard.
If I'm USF, I got to start putting a spy on Clayton Tune to make sure that I don't let him get out the pocket.
Tune looking to share the wealth on first down. It's back to the end zone and back to Keith Corbin. 33-yard touchdown strike for Houston.
This is just pitch and catch from Clayton Tune to a Keith Corbin. It's not on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, but the corner, Mike Hampton, seems like he just fell on the play, and now Keith Corbin is having a walk-in touchdown. Probably one of the easiest passes that Clayton Tune has ever thrown for a touchdown. Now 27-0 Houston, chance to go up 28-0 with this extra point.
Kyle Ramsey, 4 for 4 today, splitting the uprights after Houston touchdowns. 28-0. Tune has run in for a pair and tossed a pair to Smith and now Corbin. Clayton Tune has found Keith Corbin 3 times for 55 yards today, including that touchdown strike a moment ago. As the Cougars in full control of this one. In fact, the man on the right is a 100-yard rusher already here in the opening half. 7 carries today for Clayton Tune, your quarterback, for $1.04 thus far.
Yeah, USF definitely has not done a good job of corralling Clayton Tune, whether it's on quarterback design runs or whether it's a pass play that he just simply decided to go ahead, tuck it, and get positive yards. They've got to find a way to either spy him or put more pressure on him.
And Bulls will bring it out to the 25. We'll toss it back out to the studio to Kevin Connors.
And Lincoln, our Dr. Pepper Fansville studio update takes us to Chestnut Hill. BC grabbed a 13-10 lead, but the Irish answered with a 6-play, 75-yard drive. Ian Book, 48 yards on the pitch and catch to Avery Davis on down to the 1-yard line. Sets up this 1-yard touchdown run by Seabo Flemister, and the Fighting Irish are back in front. 17-13, they lead Boston College. Lincoln over on ABC.
Yeah, no signs of a letdown after that big home victory last weekend. McLeod and the Bulls just trying to get something going. Instead, the Cougars defense picking up where the offense left off, and that is taking control of this ball game now on both sides of the football. David and Ninny getting into the backfield.
And now this Houston Cougars defense is just teeing off. They're getting after the quarterback now with the sack. Derek Parrish and Anini both getting in there. Now 2nd and 15, a 2nd and long 15 for this USF offense.
Parrish grew up just south of here in Pearland, Texas. Incomplete pass will make it 3rd and 15. And you take a look at the discrepancy today, both on the ground and through the air, both in favor of the Cougars.
And definitely a huge discrepancy you can see there at the bottom of the screen, simply because the Houston Cougars are able to put pressure on Jordan McLeod, just like what you just saw. They tried the screen. McLeod did not have anything open, so he just went and threw it down. Now 3rd and a long 15 again. Look for Houston to go ahead and get exotic with their coverage.
Glass half full, no turnovers today for USF's offense. That's going to be very close, but unable to get his feet down for a first down. It's going to be another 3 and out for South Florida as McLeod is trying to connect with Xavier Weaver.
McLeod just throwing up a prayer to Xavier Weaver, and a great job by Demarion Williams pushing him out of bounds, thus eliminating even the possibility of it being a complete pass. Maybe it would have been short, maybe not, who knows, but great job for this Houston defense, especially Demarion Williams, having the know-withal to push him out of bounds while he's in midair. That way it is a completely unsuccessful play for the USF Bulls.
Able to field this one on the fly, Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones across midfield, and just an ankle tackle denying him additional yardage. Houston has one of the best special teams units, both denying returns and finding some hidden yardage along the way in the country, let alone here in the American.
Lincoln, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and Marcus Jones did just that. 1 foot in the ground, a straight middle return, gets a big gain, and now that puts them inside the 40-yard line, and Houston now on the move, looking to score yet their 5th touchdown in just a quarter and a half of play.
It was a 50-yard punt, but not all 50-yard punts are created equally.
By no means, you are so right on that, Lincoln.
Not enough hang time, and instead, a 33-yard return, a net gain of just 17 on the exchange. Here's Toon, who has led the Cougars now to back-to-back touchdowns on the last 2 drives. Why not throw it to the guy who is a mile open for the first down? Well, I have our expert stats guy in my ear, Bill Cousins, here in Houston, and he points out those 4 touchdown drives so far today for Houston have chewed up all of 6.5 minutes. This is a Cougars team that can put up points in a hurry. Smith. Maybe a yard.
Good job by Thad Mangum making the tackle on Smith just for 1 yard gain. Now brings up about a 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10, I'm sorry. This is where USF is going to have to make sure that as a defensive player, you do not let this game get completely out of hand, even if your offense is struggling.
And Chandler Smith would be the guy after we saw Carr helped off the field earlier this quarter. Toon. Still eyes downfield. Clayton Toon will be able to dump it down. That ball does come loose, incomplete. Overall, nice coverage by Bentley Sanders, staying glued to his assignment.
And now this is a much better job by this USF defense because they're flushing Clayton Toon out of the pocket and they're not letting him have those running lanes. Bentley Sanders, good job coming in from the backside, forcing this incompletion to the pass on a Keith Corbin. Now, guess what, Lincoln? You got a 3rd and 10. USF a chance to go ahead and try to do something exotic on defense.
Movement on the Cougars line is going to make this 3rd and 15.
Full start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Second flag today on Baines, but I think he's still in the good graces of his coaches after guiding Clayton Toon to that first touchdown back in the opening quarter.
Oh yes, good kid. I remember he used to do stuff like that in high school at St. Thomas, where I coach at. But you could see USF moving around a little bit on defense is what caused the false start, because now the offensive line has to think a little bit more.
Houston is 3 for 5 today on 3rd downs. Toon able to buy himself time, gets rid of the football before he is hit. It'll be 4th down, and we'll see what Dana Holgerson has in mind here.
And this time, USF came with a blitz. They had Bentley Sanders coming off the edge, able to go ahead and put pressure on a Clayton Toon. That's why he was not able to do anything. You can see coming in just right there at the last second, putting that hit on him. Now it is just a throwaway right there, and USF now has a chance to go ahead and get off the field with just forcing a field goal. It's still some remnants of an opportunity to make this a game.
47-yard try from the sophomore Kyle Ramsey. He's made all 4 extra points, but unable to add the 3 points on that effort.
And great job by Keon Helton, who was able to make the pressure on Clayton Toon on that 3rd down, and now forces a field goal situation for the Cougars. And we see it just goes wide to the left. So now USF has the ball. 5 minutes to go in the first half. Jordan McLeod with a chance to go ahead and lead this offense to getting some sort of offensive productivity, some sort of positivity, and that is paramount right now because USF down 4 scores. We clearly see that. It is not completely over. You have to now have the mindset of 1 play at a time to go ahead and get back in this game. But you got to have a positive play on 1st down.
So Bulls defense comes up with a stop on 3rd down, forces the field goal try. Still trailing by 4 touchdowns is, again, your starting quarterback today, Jordan McLeod, who's taken every snap behind center for the Bulls today after, I imagine, much of the fan base was excited about what they saw in Noah Johnson, even if they came up short late in that 4th quarter against Memphis in Memphis last weekend. But Jordan McLeod gets the start after Noah Johnson unable to make the trip. They'll try to pick up the 2 yards needed on second down, and it appears they will.
Lincoln, so much of this first half objective for the USF Bulls was just to get Jordan McLeod comfortable. Try to go ahead and let him get on the move, because we all know that he's an athletic quarterback. Try to get him on some short, quick passes. And thus far, they've not been able to make him completely comfortable. But you can see on this first drive, on this drive right here, they're able to get a first down. And we'll see if they can go ahead and make some positive plays to add to it.
Back to Battie, the freshman. And a nice 8-yard gain as they get closer to midfield.
Battie, the freshman, once again off tackle now for a good gain, able to get some yardage on this Houston defense. Now brings up a second and about 3 yards. Ball at the 47-yard line. I'm thinking maybe you might see a shot coming here soon out of this USF offense to go ahead and try to loosen this defense up and keep them from teeing off and feeling so predictable.
Yeah, if this offensive line can buy McLeod time for his receivers to get downfield, he has a lot of speed available to him out there. 2nd and 3. And McLeod will never have a chance even for a short pattern to find a receiver, as he is swallowed up by this Cougars defense led by Derek Parrish.
And I think USF was trying to go ahead and do something downfield. Jordan McLeod dropping back to pass. He just simply does not have enough time. Parrish coming in with a great job, almost looking like Joey Bosa on that play. Brings down Jordan McLeod, now brings up a 3rd and 7 yards. Still manageable for USF, but they got to get creative with something that they can go ahead and do against this Houston front four.
So they move backwards 4 yards. McLeod looking for Miller, incomplete, 4th down.
Putting Marcus Jones in the slot against a Bryce Miller, and that right there, along with the pressure that McLeod has been seeing all day long, forced that errant throw. Marcus Jones coming in underneath, forcing Jordan McLeod to put that ball a little bit over, and was too far out there in front for Bryce Miller. Now Houston off the field once again.
Remember the explosive return last time for this man, your transfer from Troy, Marcus Jones, one of the best in the American. We'll call for the fair catch just inside his 20. We'll take this opportunity to send things back to the studios in Bristol.
And Lincoln, coming up on the Nissan Halftime Report, we'll check in again on Notre Dame and Boston College, how the Irish are navigating this very dangerous game. Plus, another terrific performance today by Indiana football. You'll see that, and wait till you see what Sam Howell did today for North Carolina. All coming up when you join us for the Nissan Halftime Report. Lincoln?
Yeah, Kevin, thank you. A reminder, I don't think Notre Dame has lost a conference game since the late 1800s.
And you know what, Lincoln, you're absolutely right. They have not lost one in over 100 some odd years.
Clayton Toon, longer field ahead of him. More reminiscent of some of the earlier drives today for the Cougars. Say no face mask there, just a hand in the pads. And about a 2-yard gain for Smith, your 3rd string running back coming into the season, your current back here. Let's take another look. Is that hand in the face mask or in the pads?
Oh yeah, that looks like a face mask right there. And you can see, even though that this is a 2-yard gain, so pretty good job by the USF defense, but you got Bellamy, you got Rashawn Yates. They got to make that tackle, because then that'll be a tackle for loss, and now it's 2nd and 12 instead of 2nd and 7.
May have just gotten a finger in that mouth guard. 2nd and 7. Toon threw it where his receiver was rather than where he was going. Boy, the Bulls could do themselves a great service here if they could force a 3-and-out, improve their starting field position, try to get some points before the end of this half.
Clayton Toon surveying the entire field, finally comes back to a Nathaniel Dell on the curl pattern. Great job, great coverage by KJ Sales. Now brings up 3rd and a long 7 yards for the Cougars offense.
Cougars gave up 2 touchdowns to Cincinnati in the final 2 minutes of the first half last week. Obviously a different situation here, already up 4 scores. And another first down is going to keep the Cougars on the field a little longer to chew up some clock, if nothing else, before heading to the locker room. 2nd time today that Clayton Toon is able to find Christian Trahan.
And once again, Tune surveying the entire field. Pretty good job by the offensive line. For the last second, he has to go ahead and elude the pass rush and leak outside the pocket. Kristen Trahan finding him across the middle. First down and 10. Houston off and moving again.
Keelan Walker now has joined Tune in the backfield. Walker, a sophomore out of a powerhouse program in the Dallas area, DeSoto High School.
Same high school as Von Miller.
Just his 14th carry on the year, and he is churning out the yards before finally halted, perhaps a breath shy of a first down. Keelan Walker.
Going back to the scramble with Clayton Tune, you can see that USF finally gets him out of the pocket a little bit, throws on target to Trahan, moving the ball for the first down.
Meanwhile, we just had 2nd and 1 as a first down completion dropped. Looking for another tight end down the middle, and that's going to make it 3rd and 3 feet.
Look for USF to probably run some man coverage, get up in these receivers' faces to go ahead and try to deter the quick pass by Clayton Tune to any one of his speedy receivers, and also plugging in all of the lanes to go ahead and try to stop the run.
Cougars a moment ago converted on their 4th third down today, now 4 for 7. Walker. He is not going to get enough with that spot. Credit Christopher Townsell, the strong safety freshman, coming up to make the stop. Again, this is a young, thin defensive unit for the Bulls making the trip to Houston today.
USF doing a good job of stopping the run, getting up in the receiver's faces, basically playing red coverage, which is no middle field safety, and it's man across the board and pressuring everything from up the middle, trying to go ahead and deter any run game from actually being successful. And now, you know what? Holgerson, even though he's up by 4 scores, he's decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and try to punch this in on 4th and 1. Keep the offense out there. Clayton Tune, you got it.
He lets the play clock come down.
Houston
Calls his first timeout.
First charge timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
So 4th down coming up. Well, don't forget to kick off your Week 10 NFL Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown crew on ESPN and the app. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and preview each game right up to kickoff. Well, I think we're all in the habit of checking our fantasy rosters on a Sunday morning, but even have to be more diligent right before kickoff these days in this unique era during the pandemic. Dana Holgerson will opt to trot out his punting unit. Now, last night, we saw Cincinnati go for it in a situation like this, late in the ball game, already up big. I don't know if the Cougars are desperate for first half style points, though. Right now, pitching a shutout. Bulls will have 2 timeouts to work with and about half a minute remaining in this first half. KJ Sales will be the first to attempt a punt return against Houston this year, and it will not end well. So 21 seconds remain for USF, and we'll see how aggressive they are. And Sales goes backwards.
Good coverage by this Houston punt team, making sure that everybody stays in their lane, making the tackle. This is going to be a fill-out process on this drive right here going into halftime, Lincoln. Look for USF to go ahead and probably give the ball to the back, maybe throw it to him out of the backfield, something like that over the middle, something to the running back early, and see exactly if he can get a lot of yards, if they can get in field goal range, and then they may go ahead and try to get a score.
Petit just trying to get something positive here on first down to give them an excuse to go for it on second down rather than let this clock run down and head into the locker room. Down 4 touchdowns. The Bulls just ran out of steam in Memphis last week, again with not much depth to work with. They knew the Cougars weren't going to go easy on them today. Dana Holgerson's team got through that toughest part of their schedule against UCF and Cincinnati. They answered with 4 first-half touchdowns. That takes us to halftime here in Houston. That sends you to Bristol. As coming up next, it's the Nissan Halftime Report.
Welcome to the
Halftime here in Houston. Lincoln Rose, Stanford Route back with you as, again, all Houston in that opening half, Stanford.
Oh, it was Houston all day, every day in that first half. You can see it was the Clayton Tune show. Had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. Just looked like South Florida did not have an answer for him. As you can see right here on your screen, he hits Bryson Smith for the slant. Great throw. Bryson Smith simply does the rest. And then now it becomes just an avalanche of Houston Cougars. We see Chandler Smith with a great block. Clayton Tune straight up the middle. Wasn't even touched until he got to the goal line. And then now we go more of the Clayton Tune show. You can see right here finding a Keith Corbin wide open. We had Mike Hampton-Fell, the cornerback for the USF Bulls. And then now you go to the 4th touchdown. Oh, you guys aren't going to show it. It was a 4th touchdown for Clayton Tune. So definitely a big first half for him for the Houston Cougars.
You want to name names back in the truck, Stanford, or are you good?
Oh, no, we're good.
You know, take a look at these numbers. 3rd downs have not been kind to South Florida in staying on the field. It's been a struggle to stay on schedule against this Houston defense.
Yeah, and it's something that you could definitely tell South Florida has got to get penetration up front, because that's where it all starts. They were not able to protect Jordan McLeod. Houston was able to get after him, and then also they're not able to go and make stops in the run game and get after Clayton Tune. That's the name of the game, penetration. The guys in the trenches.
South Florida just converting on 25% of their 3rd downs this season. They did win the toss, deferred to the second half, and that's where we are now. So the Bulls with the football to begin, down by 4 touchdowns. And look, that was no fluke last week. There's a lot of talent in South Florida for Jeff Scott. Brought in 16 transfers this year. Is not going to rely on transfers moving forward, but needed a boost of talent and, frankly, a boost of depth. As it'll be Travis Marsh, the freshman, who gets the start here in the second half. They love his arm. The question is, can they keep him upright long enough for those receivers to get downfield here on this drive? And Marsh will just build some confidence with Miller, who is able to make the catch for 5 yards on 1st down.
Yeah, as he just said, they're going to Travis Marsh now simply because they want to go ahead and get some sort of positivity. They want to see if they can get a spark. Got the big kid, 6'5", freshman, Hialeah, Florida. So you got to see what you have in this young guy. Maybe he might be able to provide a spark for these South Florida Bulls.
Yeah, from the Miami area, and there's a tackle in the backfield, a loss of about 1, setting up 3rd and 6 now for Marsh, Batee, and the Bulls.
And if I'm Charlie Weiss Jr., I want to see if I can get Travis Marsh on the edges. Maybe something where he has a run-pass option, maybe a sprint out, maybe a boot, something like that. Look for Houston to maybe go ahead and try to confuse him because they know he's young.
Marsh on 3rd down. His receiver was blanketed. Nice coverage, denying Mitchell Brinkman the chance to secure that in. Likely would have been short anyways. And just like that, it's a 3-and-out to start the second half, despite the new man behind center.
Marsh just tries to throw the quick game to a Bryce Miller, and look at Deontay Anderson. Great coverage, not pass interfering the receiver. Good job coming in with the right arm. 4th down, USF. That was a quick 3-and-out, and now it's going back to Houston.
Anderson wrapping up his college career here in his hometown of Houston after a quick trip to start his college days at Ole Miss in Oxford in the SEC. Jones. And Jones across midfield. Jones just waiting for somebody. Jones inside the 20 to the 10, and for the 5th time in his career, will not be stopped. Marcus Jones.
And it was just that quick. Marcus Jones with the punt return. And like you just said, Lincoln, the 5th in his career. We all know that he's elusive back there. USF makes the mistake of punting the ball to him. And you can see once this kid gets going, he is very difficult to bring down. Elusive out in the open field. Sometimes I even wonder why this guy doesn't play offense, Lincoln.
72 yards on the return. If you're playing one-hand touch, he may have been down. 2 hands, I'm not certain that you're keeping him out of the end zone. Ramsey on for his 5th extra point. And even though the Houston offense has not taken the field this half, they are back on the board.
They always say secure, set, score. That is just what Marcus Jones did. He caught the ball. He set the return, and now he's going off to score. Great job, Houston Cougars now up 35-0. Right here, looking at Marcus Jones on his return. He catches the ball. Now he's going to set, and then he's going to go off and score. This play is made right here by a Jordan Moore. He comes and makes the great block right here on Amarian Dollison, and that's what springs Marcus Jones off to the races, and then he just simply does the rest, being the elusive runner that he is. Lincoln, I'm surprised this kid does not play offense because he has running back moves. Great play, great return by Marcus Jones. That's now his 5th punt return in his career. Once again, Houston is looking like it is all of them up 35-0 over the South Florida Bulls.
His first 4 returns for scores were at his previous stop at Troy over in Alabama, at his first as a Cougar. This is a Cougars team that over the past decade has led all of Division I FBS in non-offensive touchdowns. That's now 54 over the past decade scored by special teams and defense. And it also means Catravis Marsh will be back out quickly now for his 2nd drive.
And this is a nice start. Once again, Catravis Marsh going with the RPO fake, hits Amarian Dollison on the on the slant, right over the middle. This is a nice gain for the USF Bulls. We know it's 35-0, but now if you are Jeff Scott, Charlie Wise Jr., you got to start looking for who's going to be able to lead this team going forward. So now they want to take a look and see what Marsh has.
Already a better start here to the 2nd drive after they were 3 and out the last time around. Handoff to Joyner. Again, Kelly Joyner elevated. Should see a little bit more time in the backfield. His biggest contribution against Memphis, though, was going out for a touchdown catch against the Tigers in that 2nd quarter of the ball game.
And this is what USF needed. They got 5 yards now on 1st down. 4 yards. It brings up a 2nd and 6. Now Catravis Marsh, he's able to go ahead and use some of the RPO, the read option that we know that he's all great at.
On 2nd and 6, Marsh looking for that back shoulder throw. Doesn't quite execute, as that ball will fall harmlessly incomplete after the coverage from Sean Lewis, the junior.
Marsh trying to go up top to Randall St. Felix, and Sean Lewis doing a great job of staying right there in the hip pocket. Looks back just at the correct time. All you young DBs out there, you don't want to look back too early, and Sean Lewis does just that, forcing the incompletion. Now a 3rd and 6. I look for Joe Codden to go ahead and try to bring some heat right here against Catravis Marsh.
They need to cross midfield to the Cougars 49. Marsh, and again, perfect coverage out of that secondary, this time from Williams.
And now this time, Marsh decides to go ahead and test the other corner. You got great coverage by Demario Williams, staying right there on the hip pocket. Great job on Trey Dukes. Knew it was coming. Quick game on the slant. Great job getting his hand in there. 4th and 6 now. USF once again has to punt to the Houston Cougars.
So I gather Jones is still catching his breath from his visit to the end zone a moment ago. Williams back to return, standing at his own 15. And Williams will be dropped right there. This will be the longest field that Houston faces ahead of them on this next drive. It'll be the first offensive possession of the game for the Cougars this half. Let's take a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Goodyear. And, well, Stanford, take a look over there at number 7. What is Cincinnati going to have to do besides keep that goose egg in the loss column to crash the party in 2021?
Lincoln, you know exactly what it is. With them being in the American Athletic Conference, it is a group of 5. It's not a Power 5 conference. They're going to have to obviously win out, but they are going to have to trounce their opponents. And when I say that, they're going to have to win by 3 or more scores, 21 points, 28 points, things like that, for the voters, for the selection committee to go ahead and actually think, you know what, even though you guys are in the group of 5, you know what, you deserve to be in the college football playoff. So I think that they're going to have to win out. We all know that. But they are going to have to embarrass. They're going to have to dominate everyone on their schedule in a convincing manner just to go ahead and prove that they belong on that big stage. And I definitely think they do belong on it because they're a fine football team.
Good to see Kelvin Pinckney able to jog off the field. As Cincinnati took care of business last night against East Carolina, including their 2nd string, finding some scores. Good to see Carr back in this ball game. Pardon me, that is Walker. We have not seen Mulva Carr, who got the start in place of a banged-up Kyle Porter, who's in street clothes today.
The tackle play by the Houston Cougars offensive line has been stellar today because they have always been able to seal the defensive end, the outside guy on the line of scrimmage for the USF Bulls, because there's so much production that is made by the running backs and Clayton Tune in the run game today.
Back to Walker. And at some point this half, we may be shifting discussion to a person by the name of Holgerson, who is not the head coach, but in fact the backup quarterback, Logan Holgerson, a sophomore. But right now, this is still Clayton Tune's offense, up by 5 touchdowns. Finally, a bull within Tune's sight. Tune will fall head first, be about 3 yards shy of the first down.
Once again, Tune had a lot of time to throw, could not find his open receiver because USF gave some zone coverage that time, trying to close up some of those windows. Now, once again, you can see Thad Mangum is able to get in there, but Tune's still able to go ahead and get some positive yards, bringing up now a 3rd and manageable 3.
You have a designed quarterback run here, or try to pick it up through the air. Already 100 yards rushing in that first half alone for Tune. Trying to share the wealth, and no good deed goes unpunished as McGowan just cannot secure it. Would have been just his first catch since his lone catch this year against BYU.
Houston going to the crossers, trying to go ahead and confuse USF's defense just a little bit, and they do that. Cole McGowan is wide open across the middle on the under. Tune hits him in, I guess, the wrong place. Lincoln right in the hands. I know Cole McGowan is kicking himself because he would have been able to run for days if he would have caught that pass.
Marcus Jones thinks he could have caught it.
There you go. There you go.
A rare punt today from Houston to KJ Sales, who will call for the fair catch. Ball comes loose, but this is going to stay with USF.
Sales with a fair catch and the flag.
We'll get things confirmed here.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team number 84. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down. Correction, the number is 56.
Well, the Vikings have won 2 straight, and the 5-3 Bears are trying to stay within striking distance of those Packers in the NFC North. They square off at Soldier Field in our Week 10 Monday Night Football matchup at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage, of course, begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Already the 3rd possession this half for the Bulls of USF. Batee on the carry. Not much on first down. It's a USF offense that's 0 for 9 today on 3rd downs. They have struggled to extend drives.
Manny Nunnery doing a good job of getting to the edge, forcing this to be a minimal gain on Batee for the USF offense. Now 2nd and 8. And I think that right there is the objectivity of today's game, where Houston has been better on the edges at stopping the explosive plays, stopping the plays.
Timeout for injured player.
There's an injured Cougar on the sideline, and they are not going to allow a snap with Owens that close to the field of play. Javarius Owens, your junior, currently being tended to as we step aside here in Houston.
Taco Bell's Nachos Party Pack. Delicious nachos topped with all your favorites. Only at Taco Bell.
9:37 to go, still early here in the 3rd quarter. Lincoln Rose, Stanford Route with you in Houston, Texas, where that bell has gotten a lot of work here today. Batee trying to make something happen, still on his feet. Brian Batee will take this one into Houston territory down to the 31-yard line.
The freshman getting off to the edge once again, now able to beat a Grant Stewart to the sideline, and then he does the rest. Strong runner, great run by Batee. Now giving this offense a little bit.
Got another Cougar down right now. Jones who has the lone score this half for Houston on that 72-yard record-breaking for this stadium punt return for a touchdown. Want to remind you again, coming up later on this evening, over in Big Ten country, number 13 Wisconsin takes on Michigan at the Big House in Ann Arbor. And that's 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ABC, as well as the ESPN app. Jones doesn't appear to be anything too serious. Again, had that punt return. The lone score this quarter for Houston to stretch it to a 5-touchdown lead. They are still pitching a shutout that may be in jeopardy as the Bulls take this next snap, 1st and 10 on the 31-yard line of the Cougars.
If I'm USF, now got Marsh back in the game, 6'5", freshman out of Miami, Florida, I'm going to go ahead and try a shot with him.
Dollison was the man in motion. Marsh eyeing downfield for that big target in Odoms Dukes, but pass is broken up in timely fashion by Sean Lewis.
Right on cue, they try a shot with Marsh. Trey Dukes on the post pattern. Sean Lewis staying upfield shoulder, coming just underneath at the correct time. Uses his left hand to go ahead and knock the ball away. Fine play by Sean Lewis, the junior 6', 180 corner.
Trey Odoms Dukes gives you that big 6'4" target downfield, just unable to connect. This time Dollison underneath. He'll be hit right at the line to gain to move the sticks at the 21-yard line. And Dollison a little slow to get up.
Doing the RPO fake once again. That's the run pass option read, hitting Amarian Davison on the slant. Good throw. You see Lincoln in the first half, when you looked at it, Jordan McLeod.
The freshman down right now. Of course, we saw a 72-yard punt return for a touchdown from the Cougars, but for you and me, Stanford, back in the season opener for USF, our introduction to the freshman Omarion Dollison was his punt return for a touchdown that went all of 0 yards. He was standing in the end zone. The Citadel struggled to get a punt off. It never left the end zone. It fell right into his arms for the score.
Yes, I remember that play very well for the freshman. Great job for his first career game, getting a touchdown. Not even on offense, but on the punt return, as you just mentioned, Lincoln. And when you look at that game, from where it was to transpiring to right now, you have to wonder for Jeff Scott. He's mentioned that he's all about the culture, establishing an identity, and even though the team is not winning right now, he still is very confident that his blueprint can still come to fruition.
Dollison was a Cincinnati commit that Coach Jeff Scott was able to flip without ever even bringing him on campus shortly after being hired by South Florida. Marsh trying to get that goose egg off the board, unable to find Miller.
Once again, they're trying a little bit of a run fake. This time they just tried to go ahead and fake the pitch out to Brian Battie to see if they can go ahead and get the safety to bite up a little bit to open up that throwing lane to Miller. And just a little bit too far out in front of him, just a little bit too strong. But you can clearly see that now they're trying to open up the playbook a little bit more for Marsh to go ahead and let him throw it downfield.
This is the first we're seeing Marsh here in this quarter since their game against Cincinnati. I'll fall forward for maybe a foot on second down. And again, 0 for 9 today on third downs for this Bulls offense.
And this time it was just a read option, not a RPO. It was a read option where now he can either give it to the running back or he can keep it himself. He got a few yards, now brings up a 3rd and 9. Once again, I think Houston is probably going to go ahead and try to heat him up because they know he's a big, strong kid with an arm and he's not afraid to use it.
Just narrowly, this a snap from the red zone. Battie able to keep his feet, not able to fall in the end zone, but kept his balance long enough for the first down.
Battie just on a simple running back out. That's all it is. And you can see right there is able to elude the tackle. It uses his offhand to go ahead and keep his balance, getting the first down. Now 1st and goal for USF. Houston has not allowed a point all day, but you know what, Lincoln? That might be in jeopardy right now.
This might be the 1st and goal snap we've seen from either team today. Battie thought he saw a hole on the left side, but it was quickly filled as making the stop coming in was Alexander Duke for the Cougars.
Lincoln, that looked like a Travis Etienne play. Clemson runs that a whole lot with Clemson, obviously drawn up by Dabo Swinney. Jeff Scott taking a little bit out of that Clemson playbook. That's a smart play because if you have linebackers, if you have DNs that are not able to float to the ball well, that can be a successful play.
2nd and goal. Marsh will lob up a jump ball. His receiver was tied up the entire time, but they'll let him play. Looking for Sincere Brown, the freshman, all of 6'5".
Sincere Brown, 6'5", 170, going against Demarion Williams, who's 5'11", the corner for the University of Houston Cougars. Great job of staying in his face, not looking back from the other direction, facing him up, staying right there, forcing it being an incomplete pass. Good job playing big and physical.
Williams on the coverage, scoops up the ball. This ball is picked off and will go the other way. Cougars have struggled to find turnovers this year. This one will find pay dirt. Derek Parrish, another H-Town touchdown. 85 yards on the pick 6.
Lincoln, when you score on offense, defense, and special teams, you know it's going to be a good day for a football team. And that is exactly what the Houston Cougars have been able to do today against the South Florida Bulls. And this is a phenomenal play as team defense. We see bobbles the snap coming in, and now you have the blind side sack coming in from the offside from Anini. Parrish catches it in the air, and he does the rest. He is bumbling, stumbling all the way to pay dirt. Great job for the Houston Cougars defense. That's what you call complimentary football. You got your man makes the sack, he has the forced fumble, and you're right there to go ahead and pick it up. I'm sorry, the interception. And Derek Parrish, great job. I know he's probably a little bit tired right now.
And Marsh took a lick during that return from Houston. The Bulls were flirting with points for the first time today. Instead, Houston has gotten 2 scores this quarter, neither of which have come from their offense.
And that's exactly what you call complementary football. You want your offense to complement your defense and complement your special teams and vice versa, everything in between. That's how you win football. And we talked to Dana Holgorsen. He mentioned we got to play smarter. We got to have less penalties, and we got to make more plays. We got to get turnovers on the defense side of the ball. And guess what? The Houston Cougars have been able to do just that. You can see right here, Anini comes off the side. Great sack, forces it. Right there, ball's in the air. Derek Parrish, he does the rest. And this is what you dream of as a defensive lineman, going in, getting that score like that.
So Holgorsen saw his defense get a scoop and score 2 weeks ago against UCF in their last home game. Defense puts more points on the board here today. Let's take a look at how things look in the American Athletic Conference here in November. Of course, Cincinnati and Tulsa, your 2 unbeatens. Tulsa's going to be tested tonight at home against SMU, as that one will follow here on ESPN2. Houston trying to get back in that win column for the first time in 3 weeks. And USF was so close last week, but this is a team that, despite no turnovers up until that led to the score, they are just thin on offense and defense right now.
No question. And I think a lot of it is just simply because Noah Johnson was not in the lineup today. So obviously you had some success with him last week against Memphis. Guess what? You now go to Jordan McLeod to start off the game. Then you go to Travis Marsh to start off the second half. And I think just the incontinuity that's going on within the USF offense is what's plaguing them, not being able to get any sort of consistency in their footing going on. I know Derek Parrish is tired. Young man ran 100 yards, full speed to pay dirt, but a great payoff in the end. And look at the Houston Cougars team is all congratulating him. Great team camaraderie on the sideline. Look at young Buck. He's got to go over there and go get probably a little bit of air and some water. Well deserved.
And it's a Houston team that has struggled to get turnovers. Just a couple over their previous 5 games this year. So a third quarter punt return for a touchdown, and now a defensive score as well. McLeod back in and able to make the play and fight for his quarterback, Latrell Williams.
They go back to Jordan McLeod, and Jordan McLeod comes in on the first play and goes up top.
Nice going up to get the ball. Latrell Williams catching the ball at its highest point. DBs, receivers, it is who catches the ball at its highest point who oftentimes will come down with the successful play. Good job for Latrell Williams, and guess what? You know what? USF still trying to get some sort of productivity and positivity of a momentum on offense.
McLeod's first snap of the second half. Of course, we saw Marsh was slow to get off the field after turning the ball over. So 2nd and 7 here coming up. Bulls quickly back up to midfield after it looked as though they were going to find their first points of the day on their last run. McLeod will pick up a couple. Again, new head coach means you have new coordinators. Jeff Scott, all 39 years old, but he's older than his OC, the 27-year-old Charlie Weiss Jr. Most people know senior.
Yes.
But when Jeff Scott was at Clemson, they always kept an eye on which Division I programs had the best turnover ratio, both offense and defense. Florida Atlantic defensively was turning over offenses, and their offense protected the ball so well, so he brought in both coordinators from that Conference USA program, including Glenn Spencer from FAU. And there is Trey Odoms-Dukes able to squeeze in that one as these receivers are fighting for Jordan McLeod now.
And now McLeod is taking advantage of a Marcus Jones not being in the game for the Houston Cougars, trying his big, strong Trey Dukes receiver, big guy. And now guess what? USF, they're able to go ahead and get some consecutive pass plays that are actually being successful. Maybe now they can go ahead and try to punch one in.
At the moment, they are ruling that Parrish score a fumble return. I think most of us watching the replay over and over again saw the arm going forward. This ball certainly going forward. And how about the run that these receivers are now putting on with these great catches? This time it's Xavier Weaver after we saw both Williams and Odoms-Dukes on this drive with fantastic plays.
McLeod just simply putting the ball up there to let his receiver give him a chance to go and get the ball. Xavier Weaver did just that.
And now they'll give it to their big-bodied back. First carry on the day for Leonard Parker is the first score of the day for South Florida.
And what do you know, just like that, USF, you got McLeod coming back into the game. Now they're able to go ahead and get some momentum because it all started with going to a Sincere Brown, an Xavier Weaver, a Latrell Williams, guys like that, putting the ball up in the air, trusting them to go and get it over these Houston DBs, and now they just give it to the big man, the big back, Parker, pushing it in there for a touchdown. USF is finally on the board for the first time today.
You look at Parker, he was a high school running back, but they brought him in to South Florida to be a member of the secondary. Well, his conversion pays off. Bulls are on the board. Well, if it wasn't for this pandemic, Stanford, I know you were thrilled with the idea of maybe giving me a tour of one of your favorite places on campus here at Houston, the MD Anderson Library.
Yes, I actually remember being at the MD Anderson Library plenty of times in all my years going to University of Houston, so that definitely brings back memories, Lincoln.
I thought you were going to say it was a Tuesday. Cougars have been to the end zone several times today. Bulls just had their first score from a couple yards out. Let's go ahead and check back in with Kevin in the studio with an update from the Pac-12.
Indeed, Lincoln, 7 straight wins for USC over Arizona, but the Cats are hanging tough. Grant Gunnell to Tavion Cunningham. It covers 75 yards. 2020 your score in the season opener for Arizona, guys.
Seems appropriate. Kevin, thank you very much. 2020 just getting started for the Pac-12. Here in the American, again, just midway through this day. Many of you saw Tulane with the victory over Army earlier today in the Big Easy. Here we are in Houston. We'll send you up to Tulsa later on tonight as the Ponies are in town to take on the Golden Hurricane. Smith able to spin out with some tackles still on his feet. And it'll be close to a first down near the 35-yard line. As, again, you're looking at the third-string running back for the Cougars. after the first two have gone down in the past couple of weeks.
Lincoln, this play is indicative of how South Florida has been all day. You see the first missed tackle by Bellamy. You see the second missed tackle by Gentry, number 31, and it just shows that they have not been able to make plays when they have been right in front of them all day long. Thus, that's why you see the score being 42-7 the way it is.
It was 28-0 at halftime. This is only the second offensive possession for Houston this half. Special teams has scored. Defense has scored. Time for Clayton Tune to rekindle some of what he had going for him in the first half when he rushed for over 100.
Not if USF or Glenn Spencer, the defensive coordinator, has anything to do with it. I think they're tired of seeing it being the Clayton Tune show, so they're going to go ahead and at least try to limit his effectiveness or his efficacy and try to make sure that it's other players that beat them, if anybody at all.
On second down, Tune. And he will live to see third down. If at some point in the fourth quarter we see Logan Holgerson come in at quarterback, does Tune stay in as a wide receiver to add to his 21 yards today?
He just might, simply because he's done it all today, catching the ball, throwing the ball, scoring touchdowns. So I would not be surprised, because we saw in the first half, Shannon Dawson, obviously Dana Holgerson, the head coach, they wanted to get cute with that throwback to Clayton Tune. So I would not be surprised at all, Lincoln.
3rd and 5. Smith with a block in front of him has the first down. Now a flag will fly in as he crosses midfield. We'll see if that block that kept the play going was in fact a hold on what was a 3rd down conversion. And our referee, Charles Lamartina.
Pass interference, offense number 2, blocking downfield, 15-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
Yeah, this is a play designed to go to Chandler Smith out of the backfield. Keith Corbin just able to getting out there. He's blocking a little bit too soon. You cannot engage with another player blocking while it is a pass in the air. Obviously, that'll be an offensive pass interference, and with him being in the same vicinity as a Chandler Smith, that's a very easy call for the referees to make.
So it'll go from 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 20 after the 15-yard offensive pass interference call.
And if you're USF, you want to make sure that you get off the field on this so you can go ahead and continue the little bit of momentum that you were able to have with Jordan McLeod.
Cougars need their own 45. They'll have to get all of it with yardage after the catch. Going to be about 7 yards shy after the hookup with Nathaniel Dell.
USF came out just in soft zone coverage on that. Houston was able to decipher it. They sent Nathaniel Dell on the under route, able to pick up about a good 12, 13 yards. Good open field tackle by Daquan Evans. It's now 4th and 8. USF able to get off the field. You know what? Obviously, this game is pretty much out of reach. It's 42-7, Lincoln. But if you're USF, you still want to see if you can get that momentum, get that positivity right now going into next week to finish out the season.
If the Bulls have a comeback, you know where to find Stanford on Twitter. Sales able to get the fair catch just beyond the 15-yard line. Well, again, this season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Athletics Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. And that contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. There have been several successful kicks. They've been all extra points. Houston's attempted the only field goal today, just off the mark. Looking at Jeff Scott, he was zooming before zooming was the thing to do. He was doing it back in December when he had 2 jobs. He was still prepping Clemson for the college football playoff and, of course, building his staff at USF, and thus remote video conferencing came in handy. McLeod. And again, these receivers starting to shine with the return of McLeod. This time it's Terrence Horn, the sophomore from Miami.
Once again, they send McLeod on the RPO just to go ahead and let the linebackers over-pursue a little bit. Catches Terrence Horn on the 10-yard press out for an easy first down, pitch and catch for USF, and it's all about, with the spread offense, getting that first down so you can go ahead and now start to get moving.
McLeod's last drive culminated with a trip into the end zone. Down the middle. Oh, that's a big target. And if you're part of the secondary, you're just hoping Carter's own momentum takes him down.
Lincoln, I can definitely attest to that because Chris Carter, 6'4", 246. Jordan McLeod hits him in stride across the middle. That's a big old boy. So as a defensive back, as a corner like myself, that is somebody you do not want to have to tackle many times in the course of the game.
Just a sophomore out of South Dade High School in Florida. So conversion 1st and 10 at their own 39. McLeod scrambling out of the pocket. One more man to beat. It'll be a completion for about 1.5 yards. Certainly better than the alternative as he finds for a second time on this drive Horn.
That was only for 1.5 yards, but that was a very impressive play by McLeod, eluding the pass rush, throwing the ball to Horn just for 1.5 yards.
Say farewell to the third quarter in the third ward. All Cougars. About ready to tee up the fourth quarter. Take a look back at how the first three have unfolded. Consistency from the Cougars, although that third quarter a little misleading. Their offense only had the ball twice, could not score, but special teams and defense able to pick up the slack. Will not be shutting out the Bulls today. USF, a couple drives ago, able to get into the end zone with the touchdown run from Leonard Parker. And we've got another player down.
Timeout for injured player.
Take another look again at the first three quarters and all of the explosive plays for the Houston Cougars, offense, defense, special teams. A lot of that damage from Clayton Tune was in the first half alone.
Yeah, so much done in the first half. That pretty much was the game right there. 28-0 at halftime. So now South Florida already in that huge deficit. But you can see right here, South Florida has got to do a better job of eliminating big plays. Glenn Spencer talked about that so much in our production meeting. As a defense, you got to be sound, but with them having to battle COVID and things like that and not being able to have spring football, with that being their first year as the coaching staff for South Florida, that bodes so much as a steep hill to climb to try to build continuity, learning things on the defense side of the ball, making sure everybody's on the same page with communication, things like that.
South Florida landed in Houston yesterday with a lot of freshmen who really just had not played this year, but may ultimately be thrust into their collegiate debuts a little ahead of schedule. Shovel, Batee. And again, Batee has been a bright spot these past couple of weeks when he has seen additional touches in the absence of Johnny Ford.
Jeff Scott and Charles Wise Jr. might be on to something with this combination of Marsh, the true freshman, and Batee, another freshman as well. Nice shovel pass. Batee showing off some of that speed, showing off some of those burners. Now first down, once again inside Houston territory, looking to see if they can go ahead and put up a second score.
It would be consecutive drives culminating in scores. McLeod, nobody open downfield, finally will tuck it down. First down for Jordan McLeod, and he'll take a seat right on the 20. And they're going to say he began his slide a little short of the red zone.
McLeod dropping back, could not find anybody open, so you know what, I'm going to go ahead and use my legs. I'm going to tuck it and run it. You can see Houston trying to get to him, was not able to, and now McLeod does the rest with his legs, puts the ball now near the 20-yard line. And USF looking now, once again, trying to see if they can go ahead and put a second score on this scoreboard and maybe go ahead and make this game even more, maybe possibly within reach, Lincoln. I don't know. We've seen some strange things in college football.
McLeod down the middle. Another first down strike, as making the play with his first catch on the day is Sean Atkins, a redshirt freshman.
What I'm really impressed with is McLeod in the first half, he was a little bit errant on his throws. He was a little bit off target. This time around in the second half, he's putting the ball right where it needs to be. The RPO fake once again, hitting Sean Atkins on the slant just behind the linebackers. I definitely love the improvement.
There is a flag down officials are talking about.
Personal foul, targeting, defense number 17. That play is under further review.
They have it on Hassan Hippolyte, and they will again review all targeting calls.
McLeod, good throw across the middle, and you can see just where it looks like it might be a helmet-to-helmet. Not sure. What do you think about that, Lincoln?
I think Mr. Hippolyte's going to be able to continue playing football today.
Yes. And just it looks like there's a little bit helmet-to-helmet, but
I could be wrong.
It looks like Hippolyte is trying to use his shoulder while he's tackling Sean Atkins. So going to be interesting to see exactly what the referees view this, how they're able to disseminate and decipher whether this is truly targeting or whether this could be just simple incidental contact.
Yeah, they're not worried about intent. They're worried about the outcome, and that's usually a defenseless player that you hit in the upper head and neck area. If the helmets did graze, that would be a good old-fashioned helmet-to-helmet using the crown, but it really looked like he was trying to spin out of the way, and this is one of your tougher calls, but we'll get the resolution in a moment.
And Lincoln, I'm really not sure. Maybe it's just me as a defensive back. Maybe it's me being an older guy.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. Number 17 can remain in the game.
Hippolyte was facing having to sit out the remaining 13 minutes here in the first half of their matchup at SMU next weekend, but no targeting.
And I think that's a good call, Lincoln, because me as a former DB, as an older guy, sometimes I'm not even sure if I should even ask this question, but you wonder if that right there would have been considered targeting. You kick the guy out the game. How do they want you to separate the receiver from the pass in an NCAA game?
Stanford route, former standout defensive back, always looking out from both sides of the football. And McLeod's going to lose some yardage here. I want to give credit, though, on that catch, again, to Sean Atkins. As your resident tough guy, I like to say, look, you're going to take a big hit no matter what, so hang on to the football. Obviously, easier said than done. Now, one snap later, and none of the defense was sold on the fake handoff.
Parrish doing a good job of staying outside leverage, maintaining his leverage for McLeod, not able to get around him, and that's what forced the tackle for a loss.
Again, it is 2nd and goal from 12 yards out. McLeod, unprotected, fires one down the middle, and it's going to be just short of what would have been the first touchdown for Sean Atkins.
McLeod sat back in that pocket strong, surveying the field, and tried to thread that needle. Almost got it. Parrish doing a pretty good job of getting in there once again. He's been a force all day for the defensive line, but McLeod being able to speed up his clock just a little bit is what caused that ball to be a little bit too far for Atkins to get to.
I think this is going to be 4-down territory.
Oh, yes, I would definitely guess that.
McLeod under pressure, just lobs one up, and fortunately it does sail all the way out of bounds, so he will see 4th down.
Defensive coordinator Joe Cotton, I think he's starting to get fed up with McLeod and his mobility. So you know what? We're going to bring pressure. We're going to bring it from the outside where he likes to go ahead and elude the pass rush and leak out of the pocket. And they did just that, now forcing an out-of-bounds throw for McLeod just simply to go ahead and make this.
Takes their first charge time out of the half. Timeout on the field.
First timeout used by either coach here in the second half. 12 minutes still on the clock in regulation. Bulls still threatening with a 4th and goal when you rejoin us. "12 minutes ago here in the 4th quarter. Again, Bulls calling their first timeout a moment ago, facing 4th and goal. About 33% this year on 4th down. 0 for 1 today. Lincoln Rose, Stanford route with you. Stanford first half, Houston quickly took control of this ball game as Clayton Toon would help account for 4 touchdowns for the Cougars, 2 on the ground, 2 through the air with a couple of receivers. Since then, the special teams and defensive units for the Cougars have chimed in with touchdowns as well. Bulls finally took the goose egg off the board their last drive here with Jordan McLeod. They'll fire up a jump ball. Flag will fly in. This drive continues. It'll be 1st and goal after they were eyeing Sincere Brown.
Yeah, this is pretty simple right here. Corner, you got
Pass interference. Defense number 25. The foul occurred in the end zone. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
DJ Small on the coverage. The junior and we often hear it misstated, look, you can face guard a guy, but you can't make contact if you're not playing the football.
Absolutely. You cannot make contact with the receiver if you face guard. And I always tell my corners that I coach, you've got to find a way to look back for the ball, because if you are not looking back, face guarding and contact, a referee is going to call that play, every time.
McLeod on 2nd and goal, able to find the scoring strike to Omarion Dollison. Second straight drive for Jeff Scott's Bulls to end in the end zone.
Jeff Scott's Bulls now putting up their second touchdown of the day. Jordan McLeod hitting him right there in the corner of the end zone. I'm sorry, in the flats of the end zone. That is a play reminiscent of when Deshaun Watson hit, who was it? It was Hunter Renfrow for the touchdown in the national championship game several years ago. So taking a play once again from Dabo Swinney. Good job for the South Florida Bulls.
Jeff Scott named his firstborn son earlier this fall Hunter Scott for Mr. Renfrow. Bulls starting to click, trying to find some positive momentum here in quarter number 4. Bulls with back-to-back touchdowns on their last 2 drives have outscored the Cougars offense 14-0 this half, but again, the Cougars in that third quarter found both the special teams and a defensive score here in year number 2 under Dana Holgerson. And no onside kick here for the Bulls. Well, let's take a closer look at the offensive line for Houston with pocket protection brought to you by Nationwide.
And you can see all day, USF has not been able to get after Clayton Tune. He has had too much time to throw all day. You can see right there on your screen, he is able to survey the entire field. Anytime a quarterback is able to go from his first read to his second, to his third, to his fourth, and sometimes even fifth, and you keep him upright, the defense is not able to get off the field and not able to make successful plays. The name of the game is all about penetration, offensively getting penetration, and defensive line has to get after the quarterback. USF has not been able to do that at all today.
We would all welcome that kind of personal space at the grocery store.
Social distancing.
As in theory, Houston will try to chew up this clock. The handoff to Walker. Tune remains your quarterback for now.
And I think for Dana Holgerson, he still has Tune in the game because he wants to go ahead and continue that continuity, continue that momentum that Houston has been able to have. We saw how they stubbed their toe against UCF and Cincinnati, but guess what? They're back on track today. I think he wants to go ahead and continue that magic.
Only 2 first downs since returning to the field from the locker room this half for Houston. Walker patiently waiting. And will be about 1.5 yards shy of the first down marker with 3rd down coming up.
And another prime example of exactly how USF has not been able to get much penetration today. So you can see that Houston offensive line has been leaning on them all day, whether it's on pass plays or whether it's run blocking. They have not been able to impose their will on Houston.
And a lot of these numbers put up back in the first half. 2 touchdowns through the air and 2 touchdowns on the ground before halftime. 3rd and a short 2, a long 1. Little timing pattern, and it's picked off. Now it's the Bulls defense looking to get in on the fun. Pick 6, Bentley Sanders. Part of this secondary that's homegrown out of Tampa. He'll take it the other way for the 37-yard score.
USF showing some life here. Bentley Sanders. This is what you call smart football, instinctual football by a Bentley Sanders. It is 3rd and short. Bentley Sanders is already anticipating the quick out by Corbin in the slot, and he does just that, steps right in front of it, and he is off to the races. Bentley Sanders, great play. That's what you call studying the tape, fellas. You got to know what's coming as a defensive back. If you have an idea of what the offense is about to do, you can make plays like that. Great job, Bentley Sanders.
Extra point good from Spencer Schrader, again, your special teams player of the week in the American. And as all of a sudden the Bulls started to make things a little more interesting with 10.5 to go here in the 4th quarter.
Lincoln, I might have spoke too soon when I said this game might be out of reach. I think some of those guys down there heard me saying it, and right now it's going to be interesting.
Well, Terrence Crawford is ESPN's top pound-for-pound boxing champ. He'll defend his WBO welterweight belt against Kell Brook tonight in the 12-round main event in Las Vegas. Our coverage starts at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. We may have ourselves a little bit of a slugfest here late. Bulls have started to click offense, defense as well. Look, Glenn Spencer's defense has not struggled this year to find turnovers. They had a pick six last week against Memphis, courtesy of Daquan Evans, who's had interceptions in his prior 3 games coming into today. Today it's Bentley Sanders taking one to the house.
Yeah, Daquan Evans, he leads this team, and he's not even a starter. Leads this team in INTs, but Bentley Sanders, I think that was teaching tape to actually know it's 3rd and short. Keith Corbin, he's 6'2", 200 pounds, but he plays in the slot a lot, so you're going to get quick pass game, and anticipating that they're going to give him the quick press out. He anticipated that to epic proportion. Great job picking the ball off and then going to go score.
Bring it out to the 25. USF wearing their golden domes tonight. Let's check in with Kevin on a couple of other teams wearing the gold lids.
Indeed, Lincoln, Notre Dame looks like it's going to hit the bye week at 8-0. Ian Book has been sensational today. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 here on the ground. He's thrown for 267, run for 85. The Irish in control over on ABC.
Kevin, thank you. And to quote Stanford Route, Houston in control here at home. Well, with that said, USF has decided not to stop the count. Still 10.5 to go. They would like to factor in as much as possible here down the stretch. Toon still your quarterback for the Cougars. Flag comes in during the play. We'll get straightened down in a moment after the carry from Walker.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield, offense. 5-yard penalty, replay, first down.
This is some of the things that plague the Houston Cougars in their losses versus Central Florida and Cincinnati was these types of penalties, whether it be pre-snap or whether it's post-snap penalties. And I know for Dana Holgorsen, that draws the ire of him. Even though his team is up 3 scores, he still wants them to finish this game crisp and finish this game on the right note.
So 1st and 15. Walker right into the teeth of that defensive line. Among those coming in on the stop, Dwayne Boyles.
USF still playing very hard, thinking that this game is still within hand. Dwayne Boyles, one of the leaders of the defense, getting in there, making a stop for a minimal gain, and now he got a 2nd and 13. So USF still looks like they might be in this. They definitely think it, Lincoln. Look for USF to go ahead and start applying more pressure. Man coverage, pressuring Clayton Toon up the middle.
Toon with a lead blocker. Clayton Toon will get the penalty yardage back and then some. It's going to be 3rd and about 8. Remember, Dana Holgorsen today is facing a very familiar defensive coordinator to him. He was the OC in Stillwater at Oklahoma State, while Glenn Spencer was in charge of the defensive side of the football as recently together back in 2010 before Holgorsen would leave to take over West Virginia.
Yeah, he mentioned they go way back, speaks very highly of Glenn Spencer. Going to be interesting to see exactly what he dials up on his 3rd down.
Houston just 2 first downs this half. And we either had a expiration of the play clock or a timeout.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Cougars had 3 timeouts to burn. And still do have 3 timeouts.
Now a 3rd and 12. That condenses the playbook for Shannon Dawson for a type of play he can draw up for this Houston Cougars offense.
Pocket holds up, Toon down the middle, first down. Took the pop but held on to the football, Nathaniel Tank Dell.
Clayton Toon doing a fine job of hitting a tank. Nathaniel Dell
right across the middle. You can see Gentry bites up just a little bit, opens up that passing window for Nathaniel Dell to hit right across, and Clayton Tune hits him exactly where he needs to. Good pass, good catch. Now first down for Houston.
See how much time they let come off the play clock. Mindful that USF has started to find a rhythm when they've had the football. Oh, the seas have parted wide open. Finally tossed out of bounds at about the 31-yard line.
And this is just a simple give to a Keelan Walker. USF has not put together well on the left side of the defense, and Keelan Walker simply does the rest. We all know that he's not a burner, but he can still get those good yards. And then you see KJ Sales making the touchdown-saving tackle.
Injured player.
31-yard run for Walker. We've got an official timeout for a bull currently down. That's KJ Sales. Would be a big loss, especially if it extended beyond today. Let's shift our focus, though, to the defense of Houston today.
Well, the defense of Houston has clearly gotten after the quarterback, whether it was Travis Marsh or whether it was a Jordan McLeod. And I think that when you see Derek Parrish getting after everyone the way he is right here on your screen, he, to me, has probably been the biggest difference maker on this defense. And I think the touchdown right there speaks for itself for the fumble recovery after Anini was able to get in there and force it.
Parrish, how about the nice job he did squaring up for the quarterback, showing him both the hands as a target, squeezed it in, took it the other way.
And did just that. And I think that as a defensive lineman, as a defensive player, you dream of being able to get fumble recoveries like that, taking it 90 yards to the house. So definitely a fine job, fine day for him.
We're told he has caught his breath.
He should, because, hey, you know how humid it gets down here in Houston, even in November.
Walker had the 31-yard carry a moment ago. Smith. That's a successful play. Keep the clock moving. Stay in bounds. Don't turn the ball over.
And now it seems like this USF Bulls defense might be starting to feel the wear and tear of this humidity in Houston, Texas in mid-November. It seems like they're starting to wear down just a little bit, and this Houston offensive line is starting to lean on them even more than they have in the first 3.5 quarters.
Mentioned Dana Holgerson, his first year as head coach at West Virginia, beat Jeff Scott's Clemson team in the Orange Bowl. Coach Scott was wide receiver assistant, but to get to that Orange Bowl, they had to win a share of the Big East title. They did it by beating USF that year. Cougars still looking for their first offensive score. Smith is going to bring them within about 6 yards of doing so. That was the only year Dana Holgerson has faced USF as a head coach. A 24-yard run here from Smith.
This is great zone blocking by the Houston offensive line, and Chandler Smith does the rest. I mean, it's a big gaping hole. I feel like I could have ran through there, Lincoln. Daquan Evans doing everything he can to just push Chandler Smith out of bounds. Now puts the ball first and goal from the 6.
Cougars have won the last 4 meetings, the only 4 meetings between these two teams as members of the American back corner. Touchdown. Trahan goes up, squeezes it in. Clayton Tune tunes up the bend.
Clayton Tune adding to his big day. We see Trahan, they line him up out wide. This is just a simple fade pattern, and Trahan goes up for the ball. Gentry's in pretty good position, but Trahan goes up for the ball, catching it at its highest point, and that is exactly how it's done. Great job, Clayton Tune to Trahan, now for his 3rd passing touchdown of the day. And the Cougars, once again, Lincoln, have opened up this lead a little bit more.
Cougars able to take 4.5 minutes off the clock, 7 plays, 75 yards. Clayton Tune finds his 3rd different receiver for a touchdown through the air. Now 5 total touchdowns for Clayton Tune today on homecoming. Tune to Strahan. Cougars returning home this week after a tough trip up to Cincinnati. clicking offense, defense, special teams. Mr. Trahan, the third different touchdown target today from his quarterback, Clayton Toon. Dollison looking for an explosive play of his own, but it'll be stopped at the 15-yard line. Ball came loose. Cougars football. Oh, what a costly turnover if Dollison wasn't down. That would just about do it.
The Houston Cougars making sure to continue playing all the way through the whistle. Amarian Dollison, he's breaking back inside to the middle of the field, and you can see right now putting their helmet where the ball is, forcing the fumble. Amarian Dollison not having good ball security, and Sean Lewis picks it up. Now Houston has the ball in the red zone, looking to go ahead and add to this 49-21 lead.
I believe that was Davis Beal. We have double numbers. Tyler Gordon may have also pried it loose. And here is Logan Holgerson, your sophomore. You want to guess his hometown? They list him as Houston. He played his high school ball up in Morgantown, West Virginia, at Dad's previous job. They have a lot of confidence in him. Have to imagine he will be handing the football off quite a bit. Well, maybe just one time is all it takes. Davis Beal.
Wow, one play, and that's all it took for the Houston Cougars now to get the over the 50 mark. And this was nothing more than just, once again, a simple run play off the left guard, straight up the middle, and it seemed like the heavens opened up and wide open. Once again, another rushing touchdown for the Houston Cougars.
Maybe the heavens can give him a last name to put on his jersey. Cougars convert the turnover into a quick score. Good night. Second string comes in, makes it look easy. Well, the last handful of push-ups were actually courtesy of James Fulbright, who wore the number 46 into the end zone. Some of us are in better quarantine shape than others. It'll be a touchback, ball back over to the Bulls, but this gives us a chance one more time to check in with Kevin Connors.
And Lincoln, after we go final in Houston, we get a terrific showdown at the top of the American standings. Shane Buechele, 17-4 as Mustang starter, 54 career touchdowns. Number 19 SMU in Tulsa to take on the Golden Hurricane, top of the hour.
Of course, Tulsa's already taken down a top 25 opponent in conference. They knocked UCF from the group of unbeaten last month, turning some heads. So a little over 5 minutes ago, again, Jordan McLeod, your starter, was briefly pulled to start the second half before Marsh got hurt. Already a rushing touchdown today for this young man, and Leonard Parker on his first carry of the night.
USF looks like they're going back to their little bit of their hurry-up offense. I think that they're going to go ahead and try to air this ball out a little bit before the game ends. You want to go ahead and try to see exactly what you really have in Jordan McLeod going forward, seeing, okay, can he be the guy leading us to go forward, or do we have to find someone else?
All three scores for the Bulls have come this half. A couple of consecutive offensive drives as well as the pick six. To make things interesting, for a turnover on special teams a moment ago by USF. Set up a one-play 13-yard drive for the Cougars.
And that's pretty much been the Achilles heel of this team all year, Lincoln. Just turnovers, mistakes, not necessarily being all the way buttoned up on the defense side of the ball, things like that, having guys in and out of the lineup. It has been a multitude of those factors what has put them in this position so far right now in this season.
And this drive will continue, third down conversion, as Parker comes through. After today, Bulls at the moment are slated to return to Ray J in Tampa to host Navy. Now, Navy's had some problems playing football games as of late. You'll hope that that one gets green lit before the war on I-4 in 2 weeks against UCF. That in-state battle. Again, in-state battle for the Cougars is next week in Dallas against SMU, who we'll see later on tonight.
God damn.
And Houston's going to let South Florida run this football all they want.
Yeah, and if I'm Jeff Scott, if I'm Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, I want to go ahead and put some more points on the board, get some more explosive plays going forward, because Jeff Scott said that he wants to build identity, he wants to build a culture. So even in a losing performance, you still want to stay true to that culture that you're trying to build.
Kudos to South Florida. You look at that schedule, the only game missing is the contest against Florida Atlantic, and that was right after the Notre Dame loss when, due to contact tracing, South Florida could not play the next weekend. But otherwise, they have stayed disciplined, had enough players in each position group to compete and continue to grow in this unique 2020 campaign. It's a hard fall for any coach to try to take root with their new system, brand new coaches, a lot of new players with 16 transfers, assuming they're all healthy each week.
Yeah, it's hard for any coach to take over for a team, even without a pandemic to boot. So I think that when you look at Jeff Scott, it's obviously been a tough 2020, a lot of trials, tribulations, and obstacles that he's had to hurdle.
And Sean Atkins will bring in another one for another first down. Take a look at what is coming up for the Cougars. We mentioned Dallas next weekend. They will host Tulsa in 2 weeks, and in theory wrap up the regular season at Memphis. Mentioned Jeff Scott turns 40 3 days after Christmas. He usually is getting ready for bowl games on his birthday, so this pandemic-style birthday with not a lot of people around him won't be a big adjustment. You recalled his 21st birthday was in Boise, Idaho, getting ready for the Potato Bowl with his teammates at Clemson back in the day. Birthdays come and go for a lot of coaches. Obviously, this will be his Jeff Gundy birthday coming up, or his, pardon me, Mike Gundy birthday coming up.
Yes, I think it just got, obviously it's been a difficult year, but I think that when you look at everything that he's had to go through, I still think he's doing a good job because he's trying to build the culture. He's trying to build an identity, and I think he'll do just that. Obviously did not happen this season, but like he always says, champions are champions before they become champions.
And taking that from winners are winners from Bill Walton. McLeod trying to direct traffic, will get what he can. He'll step out, third down and long coming up. And we do have a couple of flags down.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 31. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
We'll leave that one off Derek's highlight reel. Big thanks to our director, Sam Trade, producer Brian Duvall today, captaining the ship on the broadcast side. We certainly appreciate all the precautions our crew, teammates take, setting up yesterday and continuing today. McLeod downfield is just going to overthrow his intended target. Again, that time looking for Sincere Brown.
Sean Lewis once again being in great coverage, being right there in the hip pocket. Sincere Brown, 6'5". We all know that he can get down the field, long strider. Sean Lewis doing a great job staying on that outside upfield shoulder in the hip pocket, forces the errant throw by McLeod.
Bulls looking for their fourth touchdown this half. Almost able to drop it right into the arms of Atkins. Just could not connect.
This is Atkins working on Jordan Moore in the slot, and McLeod puts it out there, letting Atkins go and run up under, and it just on the outside arm. Atkins, I know, is kicking himself because that was a very catchable ball. Good throw by McLeod. That's something Atkins has to bring in.
Third down for McLeod. Just not on the same page with Odom's Dukes. Presumably they'll go for it here on fourth down.
Yes, definitely a miscommunication. It looks like McLeod was thinking back shoulder fade. It looks like Trey Dukes was thinking maybe slant, something like that. You definitely got to get on the same page. And I think that when you look at how much you've had a quarterback carousel, if you will, Lincoln, that right there is why you have not seen the synergy. You have not seen the communication, the chemistry between the quarterbacks and receivers this year for South Florida.
11th play of this drive for the Bulls. They've had some nice sustained drives here in the second half. It's led to scores. McLeod under pressure, fires one up for Dollison, and just off his shoulder, incomplete. Cougars come up with a stop, and they got a lick on McLeod before it was all said and done.
Yes, the Cougars did get a lick on McLeod, but not before he was able to put up a good throw. And Amarian Dollison just has to come down with this, because you can look and see Small was able to get his hand just in there at the last second. But if I'm on the USF sideline, if I'm a DB on that team watching this, Amarian, you got to bring that pass in. You got to high point it. You got to get higher than Small. Great job by the defensive back Small on that play. But if you're USF, if you're a Jeff Scott, a Charlie Weiss Jr., you need him to bring that play in, because you need to go ahead and still get something positive to end this game.
It is harder to read the coaches' lips with their masks on, but I think I can tell you what this play call might be.
I think you might be right, Lincoln.
Logan Holgerson to close things out, as he will hand it off to James Fulbright.
Fulbright with the carry. We'll pick up 5. Second down 5.
That will do it. Dana Holgerson's Cougars pick up the victory, now 3-2 in conference. So for Stanford Round, I'm Lincoln Rose. So long from Houston. Final score 56-21. Let's send you back to Bristol and Kevin Connors.
All right, Lincoln, thanks so much. College football scoreboard here. Kevin Connors in Bristol, Connecticut. Coach Jim Mora in Los Angeles. Let's go right to the highlights of the game of the day. Notre Dame